Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm so excited today. I'm your co-host, M2 Dave. I'm here with my co-hosts, Crimson, Rio, Tom Brady, Zyphox. Hi, everybody.
What's up?
What's good, everybody?
What's up?
And today we got a special guest for you guys. Let me first mention his Twitter before Rio blows me up, even though that's kind of going to screw my introduction. Please follow this person at Titaniumtigerzz with two Z's at the very end. He is the best Sheeva on planet Earth. He is a consistent top lane player. He's been good at multiple games. It's an honor to have him. He is again Titanium. Why did NRS do this, Tigers, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so excited to have him. Tigers, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is the greatest show we will ever do. We will never do a better show. Only if the ice cone comes back can there be a better show. That's the only one.
That's never gonna happen. And that's never gonna happen.
I know.
So,
It's going to be a good show, though.
all right. So, Titaniumtigerzz, first question. How does it feel to be the most hated person in the community?
I
thought you were gonna
absolutely
ask him,
love
why
it.
did NRS do this? I thought you were going to ask him,
No,
why
no.
did NRS do this?
That we're gonna save that question for
You
the
missed
last.
the cue, Dave. Dave,
No.
already.
Tom, that question. He's gonna do an outro. When we finish the podcast.
Okay. I didn't know.
Oh,
So he
yeah,
surprised us.
obviously.
How
Don't
we don't know
worry.
the order, Dave. You
I
don't
got
know
it
the order.
all. I got it all figured out.
Okay, go.
Tiger,
Sorry for
go.
interrupting.
No problem. Well,
Oh,
Tiger,
sorry. Was I gonna answer now?
Yeah, please do. That's a
Oh,
serious
yeah,
question.
no. It's amazing. The YouTube comments have been my favorite thing ever. It's been really nice. I love the hate. It's really great. Love to play Sheeva. A lot of fun.
For a more serious question, if you don't mind, why are you the only one who's actually placing with her? We've seen Foxy use it now and then. He used it at the Ukraine tournament last year. He did some damage, not with the stomp. He kind of played a more of like a zoning footsies game with the dragon stance with the fireballs.
Right.
When did you figure out? Okay, I can win with this. What was
Okay.
your thought process? How did you figure this out?
Here was my big revelation. Okay, I was playing ranked just like any other day, and I came across a Sheeva that I couldn't do anything about the stomp over and over again. And then I came across another Sheeva, and then 4 in one day where I had to switch to Sheeva to win. And at that moment, I realized I need to do this to everybody at the highest level. That's when I realized.
Can you also address how the history of the move? Because the stomp wasn't always the same, right? From what I understand, it got some buffs here and there. Can you talk about how that
Yes.
changed, how the move changed? Go ahead.
So they buffed the tracking on the move, which made it virtually it's actually even now everybody's labbed it. It's still just it'll randomly hit you. No matter what you do, it'll just randomly hit you. The tracking is so good now. It almost doesn't matter what you do. It'll just randomly hit you sometimes, even if you make the right read.
How was it pre-patch? Could you just
Pre-patch. Oh yeah. Aim stomp was still really good pre-patch, but pre-patch there were ways to get out of it every single time that a lot of characters had. Currently, no character that I know of can get out of it every single time. But yeah, it used to be inconsistent basically. It only work on some of the cast, and then even then you could still have more options. But now that the way it is, collector literally can't do anything. You could double flawless the best collector on the planet every time. That kind of thing. There's just some characters can't do anything.
interesting?
Well,
Well,
let me ask you this really quick.
yeah. I was going to say, I'm opening up
It
to
had two
everybody else.
buffs.
Go ahead,
It had
Tom.
2 buffs. I just want to clarify this. They had 2 buffs. It had the tracking adjusted. And then remember when people were saying like Devora can just uppercut and make her whiff, etc. They also buffed the hitbox, right? So it has a bigger collision box as well, right?
I am not aware that it increased the hitbox of it. I actually don't think they did. They might have. I don't think they did, though. They did buff the recovery on it, though, which makes actually stunt double really not good versus it if you have aim stomp. Things like that it was buffed. But I wasn't aware that they buffed the hitbox on it, honestly.
Now, what do you mean collector can't do anything about it? What do you mean by that?
Collector can't get out. He actually just can't get out. I've extensively labbed it. I've tried
So what would you
virtually
say?
everything.
What would you say the matchup is?
Well, once Sheeva actually stomps,
Yeah.
it's if assuming Collector doesn't somehow steamroll from the beginning, it's basically 10-0. But if there's always a chance, so
Interesting.
you could potentially down to anti-air on luck,
Oh, man,
or
Rio's
it could
gonna
be
have a
a
hard time
weird
getting out of this.
interaction. It could also have a weird interaction with movement where he might get out of it. Sometimes, rarely. But if everything plays how it normally would, it's virtually 9-1.
But what makes it hard for him to get around is what I mean. Like, why
His-
can't he just get around it? Why can't
so-
he teleport
so-
or something like that?
Surprisingly, movement speed doesn't have a whole lot to do with whether or not a character can get away from stomp. It does have some to do with it, but it matters more about how your hitbox is when you move. And Collector's hitbox when he move doesn't really move his body backwards flat like, say, Cabal does when he walks backwards or Jade when he walks backwards. He has a outward-facing foot doing basically the whole backdash until the end. And that's what Sheeva stomps on a lot, and he's slow-moving. So combined with those two, it basically has almost no options at all. It'll just regular non-aim stomp will hit almost every single time. Almost every single time.
So you think once you land, at the point you land one stomp, the match is over?
It can pretty much just be over right there, yeah.
Okay.
It potentially can be, yes. It can be that bad.
By the way, can I comment real quick?
Go ahead, please.
On the buff earlier, I don't think it was necessarily a hitbox buff. I think it was they increased the active frames by 1 or 2. That's what made it so Sheeva can't make it
So
whiff
she's
against
active
the
more
ward doing
so
down
on the way
2.
down. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So when
okay.
the hitbox is more active, the closer she gets closer to
That
the ground. So
sounds
that way
about
characters like
right,
Devora
yeah.
can't do down 2 and make it whiff.
Okay, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
that sounds
All
about
right.
right.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thanks. That was good.
Rio, what are your questions?
Well, I think we need to realize that we may have a problem in this game. Because if you look at it, I've never seen a whole community band together and like call out one problem or put all, like everybody is in agreement that Sheeva right now is damaging this game really bad. And
Yeah, I
it's going
agree.
as far as like you have top Street Fighter players, top Tekken players, like everybody is looking at the NRS2 now going like, look at that game. It's got ridiculously broken joke characters like Sheeva. And I mean, you have god execution players like Ninja Killer, who I've never seen in my life ever complain or be shook about anything. But Sheeva got him shook. And I know Dave's gonna be like, where are the receipts? There's no proof. Oh, I took a screenshot, don't worry. Ninja was going ham. This was last week, or was it this week? Well, no, it was last week.
Last week.
When you he defeated you 3-1 Fujin Shiva.
Yeah, almost got
He was
him
in the chat like,
too.
bro, WTF was I playing?
Yeah.
What is this? Dude, when I saw that, I was like, wow. I thought Ninja Killer was a robot or something.
But keep
he's
in
just
mind,
like
hold
us.
on a minute. In Tiger's defense, you're fighting a character who's doing half to 3/4 screen safe launchers. If Sheeva couldn't stomp, Fujin would 10-0 her. The only
Oh,
reason
I think. Oh man.
Go ahead.
Oof, go ahead.
the only,
No,
the
I was
only
just gonna
reason
say.
is, the thing is, it looks like the only thing that stops Fujin for a second to say, maybe I shouldn't do this right here is she might get off the ground. So let me wait and see what happens. If she didn't have stomp, people would say, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck. That's what people would do. If they took that stomp away, nobody would give a fuck.
Mind if I say my opinion about Sheeva in general right now?
Sure, please.
Sheeva, I don't think is top 10. Honestly, I think the issue with it is she's incredibly easy to play, but she has a lot of really bad matchups. A lot of really difficult matchups. Yeah, right now. Well, since they nerfed the Dragon Stance, when the Dragon Stance was the way it was, then she was definitely easy.
What
top
are
10.
the matchups, and why do you think they're bad?
Okay, so Fujin, I actually think is one of her worst matchups. Maybe her worst. I think characters that have really good walk back hitboxes or certain hitboxes on their movement and certain levels of speed that complement getting away from Stomp, making Stomp not as much of a holy shit, what do I do? And more of a, okay, I gotta make a read here. Characters that deal high amounts of damage like Sub-Zero, or really control the space in between her in footsies where she can't really press buttons because in general Sheeva has just god awful buttons. and really not so good jump-ins compared to the rest of the cast. So it's really just a matter of once you're on Sheeva, and if you can deal with Stomp aside from that, you probably win the matchup.
If she
You
were
know, that's interesting. Do you know what Shiva sounds like to me? She sounds like an MK9 character, because MK9 had a lot of characters like this. They just had these wild, crazy tools that you couldn't really find among the cast. Like, every character just had their own unique thing that made them stand out and be different. And because characters had things like that that were so different, like Shiva does in this game, you would see A2s, 9-1s here, or them losing horribly to other characters that played differently. Shiva's kind of like that. Do you guys think it's good for the game to have more characters like that, or do you think they need to kind of address her and make her play like the rest of the cast?
I mean, we talked about that last week, though. Remember, or not last week. The last time we had the podcast, we said that exact thing. Like, the more character, the better amount of characters that have their own unique game plan end up being the ones most heavily picked, liked, being the best, and it makes a better overall experience in a game. That's what we said last podcast.
Yeah, but how far do we go? Because right now, characters like Shiva that currently exist in this game that have this different playstyle, a lot of people do not like it, and it's kind of the reason why MK11 is getting trashed.
That depends. Because, Tigers, I want to know if they took away Shiva Stomp, like nerfed it to where it's easily avoidable. You already think Fujin already easily avoids it.
Yeah.
What would the matchup be, Fujin versus Shiva, if the stomp became much easier to avoid it? You see your stomp, you recognize it, you get out of it every time.
It becomes a non-factor.
In MK11, I don't really like using the term even 7-3, but I think it would probably be an 8-2 for Fujin.
So the community is not okay with Shiva 8-2ing some characters, but they're okay with some characters now 8-2ing her. They just reversed the problem. So all they did was say, you Shiva, and this is my problem with the community. They say, you character, you that everybody picks to finally beat up these jackies who made us eat shit for God knows how long and say, she's fine, just down one, just block for 45 seconds, right? So there's a character out there who doesn't even crush these characters. It's kind of like more of an evenish thing, but like people will say, oh, see, Tiger said she 10-0's collector or 8-2's collector. So the answer is make half the cast 8-2 Shiva. It doesn't fix the problem. You're just transferring the problem to another character. And we say, well, it's fine because, it's Shiva. We don't like that bitch anyway. Let her get 8-2'd. That doesn't fix the problem. That's still not a solution.
All right, I actually have a question for Tigers now, a follow-up question to all of this.
Go ahead.
Tigers, do you think it would be better for the game if they gave every character their own unique thing that made them stand out and play differently from everybody else? Like right now, characters kind of have that. Some of them do.
Some of them definitely.
Shiva, for example, has a stomp, right?
Mm.
But what if NRS gave every other character their own thing that made them unique and went like, wow, this is so different, and characters have to deal with this in a certain way? Do you think it'd make the game better, or do you think that would be the wrong direction and everybody would be like, this game is going downhill?
I think that is an incredibly complicated question that I don't think deserves a yes or no to. It depends on how they do it. Like, if you look at Fujin having back 2, which is like basically something that only he has, a completely safe full screen launcher that punishes crazy stuff for no reason, that is done relatively well. If they just maybe nerfed some of his other kit, he could keep that. But then you have on the other spectrum, Sheeva, who actually just at round start is just an unfair character at some matchups. Like, as a good example, I think Sheeva's Stomp shouldn't be removed because, yeah, she would be just god-awful. But if they changed it some way, made it a extremely plus-on-block overhead so she could get in, something just really different to change the way she's played and not just a round start, either beat characters to the point where they can't do anything, or even characters she doesn't completely mop. It's basically just down, up, hope I win. So it's just, there's two different directions to go with it. And I'm not really sure I like the idea.
Well, my question is, I know what Rio's question is, but my question is, I think the point is you're saying keep it how it is, but maybe make it plus on block overhead so it's blockable.
Yeah, and maybe make it work more consistently against characters like Fujin.
But what if the community gets what they want is my question, to where they say, if you see it coming, it's an unblockable, you should be able to scout it and avoid it if you see it coming.
Then
if
she
they
would
made-
just be worthless. Yeah, that would
so
suck.
she would be worthless, no point pick.
She'd be like Sheeva in every other game. That's what she has been in every other game.
So-
Was she had unblockables that couldn't
Yeah,
hit people.
it's just don't let that happen.
Do you
I
think
don't
it's kind of
it's either way.
hypocrisy? Do you think it's kind of being hypocrite that the main people that are complaining are the Fujin players, are the Jackie players, are the Cetrion players? Do you think it's kind of a hypocrite that for the longest time these players have told you pick another character, pick another character, pick another character, and then when you do, they say no, but not that character. That character has to go. That's I think a kind of a trend of the MK community. We cry pick another character until somebody finally does, and that character has answers. Then they cry, well, you can't have that. But they want to be able to keep what they do. Like Cetrion players will fight to the death to keep their shit. Jackie players have been fighting for the death forever. They'll tell you she's the fairest character in the game. Fujin players still like, what the fuck? Play footsies, bro. It's neutral. But yet they want Fujin kind of nerfed to the ground. I mean, Sheeva nerfed to the ground. How do you feel about that? That this community that plays the best characters in the game are the people crying about basically the best answers for their character.
Yeah, Tigers. Not to interrupt you. That was gonna be I think that's really to me the elephant in the room. All these people, the most vocal voices, not against you personally, but against the character that you're using.
Right.
To me, are massive hypocrites. Massive hypocrites. These are the Cetrion players, the Jackie players, the Fujin players, the Joker players who don't like the way you're playing, who've been using top tier characters for almost 2 years. Literally, 2 years that characters have been, or Fujin's case, since he was released, it was the way, well, aside from that, infinite combo that he had, he's been pretty much the same character. So literally, those voices are criticizing your gameplay style, whereas the way they play, it's fine. They've been telling us it's fine for 2 years, and in some certain other, in some, to be more specific, some of them have even said, maybe your character doesn't need any buffs. It's fine. You just need to get better.
Yeah, and the best thing about this is, Dave, before he answers this, is that if they did nerf Sheeva to the ground like that, and then Tigers had the balls to say, this is unfair versus Fujin, they would say, bro, no one's making you play Sheeva. You could always pick another character. But if you say that to them, they are literally ready to put you in front of the firing squad.
Go ahead, Tigers. How do you see this? How do you see this?
I see a lot of the complaining as really funny, really funny. Specifically, whenever I see a Jackie player say I can't do anything, I think that's pretty rich for sure. I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad you know what it feels like. It feels good, but it is pretty hypocritical though. It is. I agree, but shit, man, it's just human nature to complain. Everybody complains about everybody's character. They just love to. If they don't know how to deal with it, they just complain. Everybody complains.
But if you don't know how to deal with their characters, they'll always tell you the problem is you don't know what you're doing. And even if you say, look at this, I'll say this. But if you were to say, well, you don't know what you're doing against Sheeva, they say, come on, bro, I've labbed it. I just feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. I'm sure you do that.
I feel like, oh yeah, for sure. A big issue for me is specifically Jackie players that complain about Sheeva. I've been labbing against Jackie for over like 90 hours easily since this game's release. Just trying to figure out every tiny option against her. But I promise people haven't fully labbed Sheeva in the Jackie matchup because Jackie has really good options against Sheeva that nobody uses.
So what you're saying is
a lot of extensive labbing.
This is interesting, and I'm glad we got here. What you're saying is, in your opinion, most of these people that play Fujin, Jackie, Cetrion, etc., the odds that they actually have to lab something is almost none, because normally they have every possible natural advantage. And that when they actually have to lab something, their response is, no, it's broken. Is this what you're saying, basically?
I would say definitely among a lot of top tier characters, that is definitely the case. Where it's just kind of, you never really need to lab anything. It's just kind of like they need to lab against you, not the other way around.
That sounds like a more broke version than MK9, Rio. I thought this was the most balanced game ever. Let's let Krim get in here to get some questions, because he's...
Well, you gotta ask Dave that, because last podcast, Dave's the one that said this game is perfectly balanced.
Hold on, I'll blow this moron up in a moment here. By more, I mean Rio. But yeah, let's give Crimson. By the way, Crimson, who has defended Jackie but wants to nerf Sheeva. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, that's true.
Dude, I don't know if this is this podcast, if this is the last podcast, is this the podcast from 2 podcasts ago? Like, what's today? Does anybody
Don't
know?
look at me, Krim. I didn't raise it.
What year is this?
Myself and
Is
Krim were like, can you tell us what the topic is? Dave was like, no, we can't tell you. We can't tell you.
Dude, come on, guys. Look, you guys got blown up after the last podcast, and all of you know why. The reason
Wait,
is
who's you guys? Who?
Dave, Tom, like, come on, guys. The reason is everyone knows this is not about the tier list, and everyone knows this is not about how good Sheeva is. I can count on one hand the number of people who are complaining because they think Sheeva's position in the tier list is too high. 99.99999% of people are complaining because they hate this one move and they hate exactly what Tiger said, that you can game plan hitting down up to win. Not down up in 50 other tools, not down up in, oh, well, you got to have good movement and you got to make sure your spacing is on point. And no, like literally like down up, LOL, GG.
What's the difference between that?
Are pissed off.
Hold on,
What
guys.
is it?
Zyphox,
No
hold
one-
on, Tom. Now, hold on. Zyphox, if you wouldn't mind just muting your mic when you're not talking because I can't hear Crimson and Tom,
we're
please.
hard to hear, yeah.
Because we hear your background, please.
Krim,
Abs-
what is the difference between that and Jackie hitting down up and making you block for 45 seconds and then you finally get hit and she takes 40% unbreakable?
Listen, if I can block, I can block. If I make it, if
You're
I take
blocking
the
for
risk,
45 seconds, Krim. I mean,
no one is saying Jackie is mid tier or the most fair character in the game or whatever. But at the end of the day, I take the risk. That's on me. With Sheeva, I mean, there's some characters where it's literally
pick
like
another character.
you
Tiger
can block
just
all
told
you want.
Pick another character. They tell you pick another character. Pick another character, Krim. This, Dave, and correct me if I'm wrong, this community has had the biggest hypocrisy. Their number one motto has been pick another character until you finally do. And even though the character is significantly lesser than theirs, if it gives them trouble, they want that pick removed. So the Cetrion players, the Jackies, the Joker, as Dave pointed out, Joker, the other characters, Fujin, they want to stay on their character, but Sheeva players should need to start picking around more once they nerf her. That is the biggest bunch of garbage.
Tom, no one cares about how good Sheeva is. Absolutely no one.
It's not about how good she is. It's
no
about the
one
fact
cares about the tier list. No one cares about her matchup chart. They hate that move. They're tired of seeing people do down up and play.
Sheeva players are tired of dealing with down up. They're tired of dealing with it too.
Tom, hold on a minute, please. Tigers, last time I checked, you're really the only one who's placing top 8. Who are all these Sheeva players that Crimson was referring to? They're constantly getting top 8.
And by the way, Dave, there's your point. When people brought up Cetrion, CrimsonShadow used to say, "What Cetrions? There's only Dragon, and he's not even winning. He's getting second and third, and blah blah blah." Well, this is even Krim is being a hypocrite now. Only one Sheeva player is doing it. And by the way, how disrespectful is it?
No one cares. No one cares about the list of top 8s. They're literally top players going in Kombat League, getting matched up against Sheeva and being like, "Oh, well, I guess I lose." And then
how is that different than against Jackie? They wanted her banned.
Around, getting stomped and posting the video straight to Twitter and being like, "Yo, what am I supposed to do about this?"
This is garbage, Dave. This is garbage.
That's why. Look,
Listen, 100 people in the comments last week told you guys exactly what they hate.
No,
you guys didn't read any of it.
You need to do some more reading, my friend. They blew me up because I was interrupting you. Just like I'm interrupting your bullshit right now. So
no, they blew you up because there were 2 people on the podcast, Kerbal and me, who made the point that echoes what people feel, and that is they hate that move. They don't care if she's mid tier. They don't care if she's top tier.
People hate Jackie. They've hated her for 2 years. Why didn't you blow up their character like you're blowing up Sheeva right now?
Jackie was hated before Upgraded was even in the game. Sheeva is hated because of Slump. Period. End of sentence.
Jackie is hated because of Leap. Period.
No, Jackie was hated. Are you kidding me, dude?
Not like this. Not
I
like
played
this.
first round
Not
KO.
like this.
People raised about the cancels.
Tom, come on, wait, hold on. I have to say something here.
Go ahead, please.
Tom, in the beginning of the game, and this was when, Aaron, Rain, Geras, Cassie, all those characters, Jackie was up there as most complained because there were non-stop people saying, why should have meterless cancels?
And
Meterless cancels.
the dash
Everybody
punch.
else has rules.
And a safe
Yes, dash
punch.
punches, safe shadow kick, safe slide. Come on, dude.
This is
A lot of people
why does she have
have been
plus
complaining about
frames?
Jackie since day one.
Why does she have plus frames? She doesn't need. Like, come on, Tom. This is ridiculous.
Tigers, what do you think? Is there hypocrisy going on here, or maybe you don't see?
Exactly what now? Hypocrisy. Exactly.
Are they being hit?
Oh,
Are
what
they being
do you think that Crimson, a guy who's been very quiet, I wouldn't say quiet, people can use the right adjective that they want, but he's been pretty, when it comes to criticizing the other characters, he's been pretty what's the right word that let's just say quiet, right? Like, I mean, he criticized Jackie, maybe changes here and there, said, guys, wait a minute, Tom, shut your ass up, you're complaining too much. You have a guy like, I don't think he was even fighting you, might have been you, Hayate calling the game garbage. Ninja Killer complaining. Ninja Killer who used Liu Kang in MKX block Infinite for like a year and a half. And these people have the audacity to cry about the game, to cry about your character. I thank God that you came along. Not that you haven't played before. I know you're a great player. The people are going crazy, and I'm eating my popcorn, and next to the popcorn, I'm having some Hennessy right now because it's just amazing to me because you expose the hypocrisy of these people, and I love it. Now, that's my opinion. Do you see a hypocrisy, sir?
I see it as extremely funny when top tier characters complain about Sheeva. I do find that incredibly entertaining, especially since Sheeva actually loses to most top tier characters. But I would also say that Sheeva's stop does need to be changed. Absolutely needs to be changed. But also saying there is some hypocrisy. I would
But
say
they
there's
want it
some-
avoidable. The difference is nobody's saying make it overhead and maybe even buff the tracking even more, but make us block it. They're saying
Yeah.
fuck that. We don't want to block it. We don't want to see it. That bitch.
Yeah,
leaves
if
the
that's the
scene,
case, that's just dumb. That's just absolutely dumb for sure.
that's what they're asking for, though. I mean,
If,
that's what they're
if
asking
whoever's asking for that is definitely a hypocrite for sure.
for. Oh,
It
good
doesn't
job.
need to be changed that bad. It makes Sheeva useless.
Well, aside from
Man,
go ahead, Rhea. I'm sorry.
I just really want to say, even though people can't stand Stomp, and right now it's kind of, ruining the game for a lot of people, honestly, Sheeva Stomp and watching Tigers play, it's so entertaining, like Dave said. Like, Tigers, right now, no lie, you're my favorite player to watch.
I
You're
appreciate
the reason
that.
why I've been watching so many of these tournaments every week, because I just want to see you stomp people out, and I want to see people rage.
It's so
just
funny,
hilarious
right?
to me.
It's so funny.
Yes,
That's why
it
I
is
play
hilarious.
It's the
I love it.
funniest shit ever. It's so good. I love it.
And it's sad because, I mean, basically, NRS has to decide. They have to figure out a way on how to balance it but keep it good, which is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna have to shift away from what made Sheeva legacy in a way. I know people are like, characters should stay how they play, but if the problem is the move being unblockable, then they should probably redesign it in a way that you kind of said, maybe make it an overhead move that's plus unblocked. That'll be new to her. No character has something like that.
Right.
And Tigers,
And make it not flawless blockable because that'd be terrible. But go ahead.
yeah, but let me tell you, my friend, as somebody, maybe aside from Tom, you've been playing fighting games, NRS fighting games for a long time. They don't have a really good track record of balancing these moves appropriately. Like, the moves that people really, really, really hate. Like, I don't know, like a low scoop or a low gunshot, or those moves like that people claim ruin the game for them. Or let's even say Scorpion and Justice 1 to teleport, right? They don't really have a good track record of balancing these moves appropriately. Obviously, Crimson, he thinks they've done it. I'm sure he thinks they've done an impeccable job. But the reality
Dave,
is,
you're literally living in 2015. Like, in this game, most of the most hated characters and most of the most hated moves have not been nerfed so bad that the characters ended up bottom tier. Maybe there's one character out of all the nerfs that they've done where you could say that's the truth. But is Dash Punch unusable? Is Liu Kang's forward 4 unusable? Are any of the moves that people complain about completely unusable now? I would say no.
I wouldn't even make the point, but Rio likes to insist that Aaron Black was definitely over normalized.
No, I just don't understand why some characters can't be top tier. They did the same to Aaron in MKX. For whatever reason, everybody else got to stay top tier, but Aaron had to go down the bottom tier. And in this game, they nerfed Aaron from top 3 to around mid tier. But I mean, I don't complain about it. Like I said, I've been moved on since like 13 months ago.
Yeah, you definitely have. I'm not definitely criticizing. I think you've been very light on this topic, but I'm just saying if you look at the past games, and
Satrion's teleport unusable now.
I know Crimson doesn't want to look like past 2015, but the reality is there's some history. History goes on. History happened even before that date because he doesn't support his argument. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. But Tigers, what do you think? I thought you were going to say something. Go ahead, please.
So, what do I think about what exactly? Sorry, a lot
Do you
was
think?
said.
Do you think they're going? Do you think NRS is going to? Not. I don't want to use the.
I think NOS is going to kill the move. Absolutely, they're going to kill the move.
Okay, all right.
They're
And
going
then
to kill the move because when people use it in tournament, everybody's making fun of NOS for it. So I think they're going to kill the move. Absolutely.
I think you're most likely right, and then you're probably gonna have one person in this podcast who's gonna defend them and say, "Well, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Everybody was crying. She's bottom tier now." But you know who that person is gonna be. I don't have to mention him by name, but be that as it.
We actually don't. Who are you talking
Talk
about?
about Crimson. Of course, he's gonna defend everything. Like he's gonna defend it, and
Okay, Dave, let's say you and Tom were the ones in charge of fixing the game. Would you guys nerf Sheeva, yes or no?
well, if you're gonna nerf her, then I think she needs to be appropriately accommodated with.
But would you nerf the stomp?
If
I
were making
personally wouldn't. But if you're gonna nerf the stomp, let's say
So you wouldn't nerf the number one move that's getting everybody
no,
to hit
I
the
wouldn't.
game.
But if
So
people,
you would completely ignore the entire community and not address the problem.
I don't know about the entire. Okay, let's nerf. her.
Okay, so you're telling me that you would ignore the entire community and lower her health by 5%?
Let's. Okay, you're consistent. Do you consider yourself consistent and not a hypocrite?
What kind of question is that?
I'm asking you, yes or no.
Dave, you need to answer my questions
You need
first
to
before you
answer
start throwing questions.
again. Okay, let's nerf. Okay, if she was
Dave, I asked you a simple question. Would you nerf
no,
the
I
stomp,
wouldn't.
yes or no?
But if people want it nerfed, I want also Fujin nerfed. I want Jackie nerfed. I want Setron nerfed. I want Joker nerfed.
At the same
Who
time,
else? Tom, who else are people complaining that
Well-
on Reddit and Twitter that Rio doesn't want to
Here's
mention?
what I would do. I would not be dumb enough. NetherRealm had two options. They had Fireball Stance and Stomp. They said, you know what we're really going to take? What we're always going to take first. The projectile. Because God forbid you can't zone. You're not allowed to do that.
But to be fair, can you blame them? Because back then, when everybody was going crazy about Sheeva Dragon Stance, they had tier lists where she was like number one in the game. Wasn't Foxy abusing it? And people were going like, "This is
but
dumb. This is like injustice."
People bricked. They bricked the character.
No, I understand this. So, do you feel like NRS should stop listening and then wait to do their things, or do you think that they should
Here's my
address the whole
problem with NRS.
community?
Here's what makes NRS look foolish overall. Because the problem is they have characters with no sauce on their spaghetti, and their explanation is, I know the game is very generic. Everybody gets metered the same way. Everyone does this the same way. Everybody wakes up the same way. Everyone does everything the same way. There are no sauce on the spaghetti characters like Shao Kahn. But this is to preserve the balance. And for neutral, the neutral is fucked. The balance is fucked. The variety is fucked. The variation system is fucked. So why the fuck are we goddamn regenerating meter at the same time anyway? They have a whole bunch of dumbass mechanics in the game to ensure this doesn't happen, and it still happens. And ultimately, my problem with this is the main reason that people give that's Fujin players, etc., is you can't play neutral. It's a mini game with Sheeva, man. You're trying to play neutral, and she's doing stomp, and it's like whack-a-mole. Are you Fujin players and you Jackie players and Cetrion players think we're so fucking stupid that we honestly believe you want the stomp nerf to preserve neutral? You players don't know what the fuck neutral is. You haven't played it a day in your life, and you want to talk about playing neutral.
Wait, so Tom, are you saying that NRS needs to nerf? They need to nerf the game around neutral?
No, what I'm saying is what made MK9 whatever, but also caused the matchups, is the fact that there were a bunch of fuck neutral moves. But there was always, even I'm playing Dave, Sub-Zero vs. Freddy. They're still neutral, even though Dave's doing runaway spikes. People only see, oh, this guy's spamming projectiles. but there's always neutral. Even when we're playing you, Sub-Zero versus Cabal, there's still neutral within the F neutral mechanic. You know what I'm saying, Rio? And NetherRealm,
Well, yeah, every game has neutral. Yeah.
the problem is, but this game, it seems like NetherRealm said, to quote my video, Dave, you saw that Ed Boon's like, we want you to get in, but we don't want any easy ways in. They took these characters and say, you don't know what neutral is. You break it all day, every day. You. I'm sorry, man. We got to preserve the neutral. You have to have no big sauce on your spaghetti, no sauce on your spaghetti, and down and down and down the line.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Listen, that's all fine. I think I'm on the advocate on the nerf the teleporter after hearing a little bit more of your arguments, because it seems like we're not trying to like delineate how broken something is relative to everything else. Like at least with against Fujin, against Jackie, against Centurion, against everybody who's fuck neutral right now except for Sheeva, you had ways to get around that. Except for like you're saying that some characters get straight up stomped to oblivion. They have no choice but to guess. At least you have a choice with these other characters. At some point, when you go start balancing how your game's going to be like, there are things that like if the rules are broken, right? Like instantly starting off and like Tiger said, this was at the beginning of the round. Right from the get-go, the character just gets obliterated because they had to consistently guess for something. You don't have a choice in the matter. You have a choice against Jackie, against Fujin, against Centurion, against whoever the hell else you guys named. That's what we're talking about, and that's why we need to change the teleporter.
Tigers, how do you respond?
I kind of agree, but also I don't really like the idea you have a choice against Jackie. I don't really see it as a choice when you fight against Jackie, who leaps on you from full screen, and then you have to guess whether it's going to be a grab or not, because there's no way you can anti-air. So it's kind of the same, in my opinion, as compared to just as an example, Jackie's up-down, or sorry, down-up. You can just kind of do that, and then just go on over. No downside. No way you can stop it. I think more characters can stop Stomp than have even a minor chance of stopping Jackie's leap. So I don't really agree with that by concept. That being said, I want both of them to be changed, but definitely I would sooner have Jackie changed than Sheeva. Absolutely.
And this is our point.
Way sooner have Jackie changed than Sheeva.
CrimsonShadow will overhear and have you believe that Jackie's not really a problem like Sheeva. Sheeva should be touched, but Jackie not really, because at least you can whatever. Tigers also needs to bring up, people don't believe this, because hold on a minute.
You missed the entire argument. Listen, let me break this down for you in the simplest possible terms.
Okay.
If you took away every other tool that Jackie has, if you took away 4-3, if you took away her 1-1 string, you took away all that stuff, right? Took away the freaking shrapnel mix, right? So there's no here are all these options. She has too many options. She does too much damage, unbreakable damage, whatever. And you made it so you literally just hit down up. People would rage in a completely different fashion, and that's what you're missing. It has nothing to do with the character's probably too good, right? We've talked in previous episodes about the fact that maybe a minimum of like 3 or 4 characters are probably too good right now. This has zero to do with that. This has to do with hitting down, up, and then people being like, "Well."
Hold on a minute. I don't want to hear this.
Tom, I gotta mention this. The insincerity. Hold on. The insincerity of that argument is just, guys. It's borderline malicious. It really is. Remember the Russian, one of the Russian tournaments, or maybe a couple people wanted Jackie banned, and there were high-level players who wanted that character banned because they thought she was just out of control. And to make the argument that Sheeva is worse, again, is just false. If you think that you have an agenda, you clearly have an agenda.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Dave and Tom, you guys are ignoring the people that currently want Sheeva banned, though. What about all of them? They don't count? Why does it only count for Jackie?
Name me one high-level player who wants her banned that I've seen. I haven't seen anybody.
I've seen so many people say that they want Sheeva banned.
Some random
I've also seen people say that they want the teleport move to be a ban move.
Well, if you want to go that route, I'm sure Tom can lecture you for another 30 minutes. But
Tigers, you have said you've labbed Jackie. Look,
I have
here's the
labbed
thing.
Jackie a lot.
You and me
in that
both,
matchup,
my
yes.
friend. I lab
Oh my
everything.
god, the hours.
The hours. Now, here's the thing. Jackie players claim that even if you lab for 1,000 hours, that you're just missing something. See, Jackie players put you in what's called a loop. You let them leap all day, leap all day, leap all day, and shrapnel. They say, I mean, dude, you could. I mean, you didn't have to let me shrapnel and land that. You could have punished me. And then by accident, this is so funny. She's the only character who fucks up her timing on a launcher, and it turns to gold because you miss your stuff because it was a milliliter. And you know what they say to you? You know what they say to you? First, they tell you you should be trying to punish it. Then, when you say, "Look at this," you accidentally, literally killed me because you actually did the wrong timing, which caused me to mess up my timing.
That's a really good example, yeah.
And then they say, "Well, just block." So then you just block, and they say, "You should have punished me there." Okay, I'll go to punish. That happens. Just block. They put you in their own loop. Should I just block or should I just punish? I don't know. I mean, sometimes you know how it is, man. Everyone, they literally.
Okay, I feel like we're arguing in circles. Basically, almost everybody agrees that Sheeva needs to get nerfed, but Tom and Dave are saying, "Well, you need to nerf Jackie too," and so
What
on. I mean,
character-
are you guys against those characters
what
getting nerfed too?
character? Hold on, Dave. What character
okay.
can literally whiff 40% combo starting launchers and have that turn into a still 40% combo starting launcher? And somebody says,
Sub-Zero could in games before.
And
He could always throw an ice clone out, and if you touch it, you turn.
that's
It gives him a
my
combo.
point is he's not whiffing. He missed the point. He's not leaping across the screen with it.
No, I know what you mean. He's doing like a combo starter at no risk, and it's just there.
Not an MKX.
But yeah, but my point is, I get what you guys are saying. You guys are saying, okay, let's nerf everybody. That's the whole point of this conversation right now.
Everybody-
Let's nerf Sheeva, Jackie, everybody,
Rio, the
and make
point is-
everybody go down the Shao Kahn's level.
Rio, I understand you want to ask Tom and me gotcha questions. So if we don't say that we don't,
No, there's no gotcha. I'm just trying to understand
but
what
let me
the
just-
point
for
is.
the audience, because I know the game that you're playing. For the audience, let me just re-explain. So he's trying to say, do you want Sheeva stop nerf? If we say no, we're the bad guys. Right? That's
No,
what he's doing.
I just want your opinion, dude.
I
There's
know.
really no
Well, I
secret,
think you should share
hidden
more.
agenda.
I
Like,
understand
what is going on right now,
I
dude?
think if
Crimson, do you hear this?
Crimson has been
Like, I just want your opinion.
I
that's
know,
all.
and I think you need to speak more of your opinion and less demanding of our opinion.
I speak my opinion a lot, but it seems
Not
like
recently, because
I want you and Tom to explain what needs to be done, because right now we're still understanding what you guys want or mean to do.
I'm always, again, if the community wants to move nerf, that's fair enough. Let's go with that.
Not about nerf Sheeva. Let me tell you the honest truth, because I have labbed a lot of shit. There are literally matches where some characters are a certain amount of range away against Fujin, and you can't fucking move. You move back two. Do this, back two. Full combo, safe. You're going to do a projectile or move at the wrong time, slide. Goes under your mid, under your projectile. You're like, let me get this straight. I stand here, he back twos me all day. I move, he forward threes me or back twos me. And even in closer range, he can do instant sky. Here's the funny thing. You'll be in the corner. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Tigers. You'll be in the corner. He'll do Skywalker, amplify, and you don't know if you should punish it because you don't know if he's going to hold it or land, correct?
No, it's even worse. He's actually +4. He can jail it. But there's
Tell me
no
when you block
stopping it.
When you block it.
If you block it, it's +4 after he
So it's a
cancels
safe launcher.
on enhance. It's a
It's a plus launcher in the
It's
corner.
a plus launcher in the corner.
plus
Actually.
frame launcher. So you have
Against
characters.
most of the cast. Some of it.
So
can
you
back,
have you
but
have
yeah.
characters. You have characters who literally you can't fucking move. You can't move. People say I want to avoid Sheeva's stomp when I see it coming. Tigers, how many times that you across the screen from Jackie? You're like, she's gonna leap. She's gonna leap.
And then you
She
can't
leaves.
stop it.
She leaps.
You
You go to
can't
anti.
stop it.
You go to anti-air, and the two still hit you. You're like, I knew.
There's no way.
You can.
Yep.
How
There's
how,
no
how
option.
many? They complain that Sheeva also
Every game that happens.
And how many times does she knock you down and leap, and you're like, I can't up two, I can't up three, you can't roll
Yeah.
forward or backwards. So she circumvents the wake up system completely, correct?
For some reason, yeah. You can OS every wake up option is there for some
So
reason.
you can't get off the ground on wake up. I know I know a move that was banned because of that, but that's not here nor there. So you can't get off the ground. You can't get off. You can't get off the ground. You can't get off the ground on wake up from Jackie. You know she's going to leap across the screen, and you have to hold it. And they tell you,
Yeah,
Rio will say flawless block. But if I'm wrong, Tigers, even if you flawless block her jump in punch from across the screen, she's still plus, is she not? Like plus
yes,
3 or
she is
4?
a bit plus. If she does it really, really deep, she is still plus. But if she only ever did jump in punch from full screen, I would be happy. That would only just be
That's
pretty
the problem.
broke and
Then
not
she also
unstoppable.
does
Air
shrapnel.
All right, so
blast.
I get what Tom's saying. Tom is saying that people are pretty much focusing and complaining about Sheeva when they should all be really focusing and complaining about Jackie, Fujin, and stuff to get them
Boys,
nerfed
there are a lot of characters.
before Sheeva gets nerfed,
There
right?
are characters in this game in general.
No, but what you're saying is like Jackie and Fujin
I-
are so
No,
broken
I
I
that
think he's more pointing out the hypocrisy.
Yeah,
of
there
it.
are some characters in this game where you can't fucking move. Period. I can't tell you how many times I see Tigers and he can't move sometimes. He's like, I want to stomp, but I can't.
So do you think Jackie and Fujin should be nerfed?
No,
I think.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I would.
Let Tigers go
Okay,
ahead.
good,
Then.
good.
I
thought it was
think
just- go ahead.
Jackie needs nerfed. I think Fujin needs slight adjustment. Jackie definitely needs nerf though. Absolutely.
Well,
Tom,
probably,
Tom,
probably according to
how come? Wait, hold on,
Okay.
Tom. How come you don't agree Jackie and Fujin should get toned down?
I don't agree
just
that
wanna
it's
hear
been
his
toned down
argument.
because I don't believe the problem is Jackie or Fujin. The problem is the system in which they abuse. NetherRealm, in order to balance the game, they put a couple of things in check. To prevent characters from being too strong, they have their custom variation system, but even the way they constructed characters has a self-balancing mechanism. We're going to make sure that characters can't pile on these devastating moves on top of another. The better the move is, the higher the price. So you can't just stack move on top of move on top of move, right? That would be imbalanced to give everybody everything. So they have this point system. The problem is the best characters in the game, one, are the best fuck neutral characters. They eliminate neutral so much. Two, the system put in place to balance these characters say all your best moves are going to be default or one slot. Poor Scarlet, she can't. I had Subby Sub come in my stream yesterday. She's like, you know what sucks? I mean, you see all these characters doing whatever. I can't even equip my Blood Ball amplify, my fast or slow, because it's a 2-slot move and I can't fit it in. God forbid, poor Scarlet. You know, she can't do that because that would be broken. The way characters are put together cause the problem. Obviously, the problem is
All right, so I'm starting to understand now. It's not really the character balance that's an issue. It's more so it's the variation system that is the problem.
yeah.
So if NRS were to get rid of it, then the game would be pretty balanced.
If they would get rid of it, character. Imagine
Yeah, and then there wouldn't be character problems. The game would be pretty
Tigers.
balanced
Let me
if
ask
they
you
got rid
this:
of
Tigers
variations.
plays every character in the game, so he's a great guest to have.
Correct.
Jackie versus Scarlet. Yes or no? Scarlet, you know how to fight Scarlet. You get in on her, you disrespect everything. She finishes strings, then she gets launched, right? That's what happens, right? Poor Jackie gets in for free on Scarlet, correct? For free,
Correct.
and dominates her. Now, if Scarlet could put up Killer Clot and Jackie had to leap in, would that not change the match and even it out?
It would help. This might come as a surprise. I've played that matchup a lot. I actually think that might be a 5-5, even now, which
Okay.
might come as a surprise.
Okay,
But
you think
Scarlet
it would-
has really good options.
but it would still be more evened out, right?
It would be more evened out. I wouldn't say Scarlet wins. It would be more
Or even
evened
like
out, though.
Fujin, right? If Fujin had to,
Oh, that would be great. Oh my god. Yeah, that's what that. Need that.
so Scarlet actually has a tool that could help her in these matchups and help balance the power, correct?
Yeah, Fujin
Yeah.
versus Scarlet is horrible for Scarlet, but if
So
she
let me-
had Killer Clot, that would help. That would
For
definitely
one,
help.
let me tell you the thing is, the problem is Blood Ball should be default. You have to equip it. Why? Because that's what they do. Some characters get 30 moves by default, not poor Scarlet, because God forbid she should be allowed to live. So if they redid what moves were default and what not, and actually fixed the game, if they applied the same theory that makes Setri on top, if they say this is what makes Setri on top, she has 90 million moves by default, all that can be adjusted, airborne, close, far, right? And she has her other moves are one slot, one slot, one slot. And they say, now Scarlet, you have no banned moves. These moves are default, right? You got to equip Teleporter. Your Blood Ball is now default along with the Amplify. So she gets Blood Ball amplified by default. And then she would equip Blood Clot, Teleport, and whatever that move is that goes on the ground under your feet.
Right, yeah,
That literally takes Scarlet from where she is and puts her on par with Cetrion. The formula is there. If they could just take the same formula that makes their own characters top tier and apply it throughout the whole cast, that fixes a lot of the problem. But the
I
problem
will
is,
say.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, say what you're saying.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, I was going to say that I think the variation system is one of the, well, now that they made customs a thing, one of the most laughable things ever. With Centurion having all of her best moves together while Raiden gets Joe push, I think that's one of the funniest things ever. I don't really know what NOS was thinking. They didn't even really look at the abilities. It doesn't really make any sense at all, honestly. I think they could have a good variation system, but they did not here. It is terrible. It is so bad.
I'm
It's
sure
so bad.
Crimson is going to find a way to defend it. But the point is that we all know what the issue is, and I will agree with everything Tom is saying. It's more of the fact that the characters, like we were saying, Setron, and we've mentioned this so many times. As just an example, has has a beam that you can do on the ground, can also do in the air, can control it, close, mid, far, all default move. And again, even Sheeva, stomp, regular move, unblockable, delayable. Tom said, I don't know how many options there are, like 30, 40, whatever the case may be. So,
30.
but God forbid, RoboCop can do low auto and not get it low profile by some stupid moves like let's say set
Dave, I want to ask you because it seems like you have a change of heart now from last week.
Yeah.
Last week when I brought up balance was the biggest issue of
Yes.
the game, from what people have been saying, you said that it wasn't balanced. How come now you changed your mind?
Uh,
So do you agree now that balance is the biggest issue of this game?
No, because I was making a comparison to the other NRS fighting.
All right, so you'd say balance isn't really an issue for this game.
I would say, comparatively speaking to the other fighting games that I played, like MK9.
No, I'm talking about MK11. Like this game's issue, is it not
Well,
balanced?
when I made that statement, that's what I was referring to. And for you to take out of context, I don't know why you would do that. Because
No, I didn't take it out of context because we were arguing about it yesterday. I mean, sorry, not yesterday, last podcast on it, and you told me balance was not an issue.
I don't think balance is an issue comparatively speaking to the other NRS games. That's what I was talking about. So if you compare it to, because we talked about MK11,
No, but I'm asking. Forget about the other NRS games.
Yeah.
I'm asking about MK11. Is balance an issue right now?
I would say balance is an issue if you're talking about the variation system, like Tom outlined. Yes, balance is an issue. But if you compare it to the other NRS games, like the ones that we have played, for example, MK9, Injustice 1, then no, it's not an issue because those games were broken.
Okay, so the balance is fine if you compare it to previous NRS games,
Yeah.
but if you talk about MK11, the
I
game that
think
we're talking about now, it's a problem.
I think the point that I was making, like some shills in the community, they think the game is the best thing to slice bread balance-wise. I don't think so at all. I disagree entirely. I think there's a lot of work that they need to do. But at the same time, there's some people on the opposite side of the spectrum, one in particular whose name I shall not mention, who's making the case it's like it's unbalanced, it's just as bad as MK9. No, I disagree with that. I think I always present a moderate perspective that analyzes and considers both sides of the spectrum. And I think the game, yes, they can do a much better job. And again, this time just told you everything that you needed to know about, the variations of even Tigers.
Yeah, that's why I want to discuss it, because if we think about it, the problem with the game is the balance. The characters like Jackie, Sheeva, Fujin, whatever, they're not really the problem. It's more so that characters like Scarlet, Shao Kahn don't have the moves that Jackie, Citron, and them
The
do.
problem is,
So if you made Scarlet, Shao Kahn have moves and playstyles that were similar to the top tier, then more people would like the game, right? Because then it would be more balanced.
you have a point. The problem really is, really quick, Krim, not so much that these characters are poorly designed. Sheeva, bad design. Cetrion, Fujin, these are poorly designed, broke characters to be nerfed. These characters are only a poor design because NetherRealm failed to apply the same formula in which they made these characters and apply it to the rest of the cast.
But Tom,
That's the problem.
you actually made Rio's point for him without realizing it. You shot your own argument in the foot. Here's the reason why. This happens in every game.
Oh, God.
The difference is the only reason you can talk about making characters be able to play certain matchups better by allowing them to use the extra moves that they have is because those extra moves in the game. If this was any other game, everyone would get 4 or 5 specials. Killer Clap might not exist at all. And what would we be saying? The same thing we say about those characters in every other game, right? They're not well designed. They don't have synergy. They just suck. Why do they give them these specials?
It's not about number of
The
specials.
only reason that you can say, hey, well, maybe if we made this one slot or made this usable, it would improve these other matchups is because there are a million specials in the game. And the only reason there are a million specials in the game is because of this system.
Then I actually made my point. Because if we were in that game, guess what? Sure, Scarlet wouldn't have 30 moves, but Cetrion wouldn't have Hell's Wrath, she wouldn't have Teleport, and she would get outzoned by every goddamn zoner in this entire game.
Well, you
No.
never know that because she may have those moves, but she may not have the gimmick wind tunnel summon moves that she has, like
My
the
point
fire
is,
rings and
you're
stuff.
gonna
No
find out-
NRS game has been like that. Think about Martian Manhunter. Like, where was his deficiency? Where were the holes? It's never like that. It's literally some characters got like the blessing of the gods, and other characters, well,
But Crim,
better luck
there
next
is
game.
a very
Some characters just get better design, and that's just how it is.
Crim, you're arguing, what if there isn't a variation system? There is a variation system, so I don't want to hear that argument. This is what we
Okay, I want to ask you guys a trick question. I want everybody's opinion on this. Do you guys think that NRS should unban all of the ban moves?
I just want to say, do you hear what's going on here with CrimsonShadow? This man cannot, even when the game is wrong, he says, well, in Fantasyland, let's say MK11 didn't have variations and did. The man went to Fantasyland to make an argument, a situation that doesn't exist, somewhere in the space-time continuum, I'm like Earth 11, where someone in NetherRealm said, let's get rid of the variation system and make MK11 without variations.
I think Crimson is just going off what people did when we didn't have variations. Remember MK9 when people were complaining the low tiers just weren't good, they were badly designed and so on?
Yeah, like,
I think that's all he's
if
saying.
there's the conversations that we're having now are way more interesting to me, right? Like, being
Yeah,
like,
because we're trying to get to what the problem is. Like, what is the issue actually
Yeah,
about
The
the game?
variation
Being able-
system, it has and always will be that.
being
Yeah, so that's why I said earlier, if NRS were to, let's say, next patch, get rid of variations, every character has all their moves, would that finally fix the game and people would love it?
Get to the banned moves. Ask the question. Good. Ask it around.
Yeah, so I want to ask you guys, do you guys think that the unbanned move should be unbanned?
Tigers, you're
I mean, sorry, the banned move should be unbanned.
Tigers,
sorry.
you're the guest. What do you think?
The moves, right. Some of them should be unbanned, but some moves like Fujin's ban move makes his downgrade +3 on block, and I don't really subscribe to that. So I'm not gonna say every move should be unbanned. That one should stay banned forever. But I think most of them, almost all of them, should be unbanned though. Honestly. Like,
what about
let's-
Terminators?
Yeah, I think Terminate's ability is actually balanced. I think
you think so?
it would actually be good if he had it. Almost every character, actually every character in the game now, thanks to customs, has an armor breaker of some kind that they can use against it. He can't jump, he can't crouch during it. If you guess right on him one time, you can just use your armor breaker as a punish because he can't block during it. It seems like a fine move to have, honestly. Just seems like a somewhat risky get-in tool to me. But
Do you think banning these moves is a lazy fix? Just
yeah,
ban 'em?
absolutely, super lazy. I would definitely agree with that. It's lazy. It's really weird. It doesn't need to be. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, Crimson
no,
Shadow
simple
and
lazy.
Rio have
No
told
lazy.
us that before the
just change
second
it.
coming of Christ, that they will fix these moves and unban them. So before the Christ comes back and we have the new.
Well, here's the thing.
we're
If you
gonna
guys
get it
ask
back.
for that, if we all come together and ask NRS that's what we want, why wouldn't they do that? They pretty much do almost everything we want. Look, right now everybody wants Sheeva nerfed, right? Do you guys really think she's not going to get nerfed?
Come back. You make them. You ban moves and say, "I."
Tom, I understand that, but to be fair, you and Dave are telling people that Sheeva's fine, whatever, but then they're leaving the game. Do you want them to play the game or not? Then you have to do something about
Sheeva
Sheeva.
is just as fine as Fujin, as whoever. Because I promise you this.
That's my point. So if
promise you
Sheeva
this.
has to go, but your point is if Sheeva goes, nerf them all,
Because
right? Like nerf all
nobody,
the
here's the
top
problem.
players.
Right now, we're literally showing sympathy to every top tier character, player who plays these characters, for saying, boo hoo, I can't move against Sheeva. If you were to tell this Fujin player, boo hoo, I can't move against you, do you think we get the same sympathy?
I don't think it's about sympathy. I think it's about making the game more enjoyable for everybody, right? Wouldn't you agree? You want the game to be good?
What Fujin player says, you know what? My back two and my plus launchers, and that's not really
Tom, I
fair
understand
to
your
make the-
point. Like, Tom, I feel like
Dave,
you
what-
feel like you're
Dave,
talking to a wall.
Dave, what
I
Jackie
understand that you're saying Jackie and Fujin are a problem. I understand that. I get it. But what I'm saying is, where do they go from here? Should they nerf them?
No,
How do they address the problem?
they've got to overhaul the game, unfortunately.
So they have to make MK12 then.
Okay.
So MK11 is unfixable.
Unfixable.
They can't do anything to make this game better.
MK11 is unfixable because they're not going to go back and retool the variations. They're not going to go back.
So
and
if NRS shouldn't bother releasing another big patch. They shouldn't
they
bother
are
adjusting the
because-
balance. They shouldn't bother unbanning some
they are
moves. They
because
shouldn't
they're in the
bother adding
business-
more content.
They're in the business of selling us an early release game this time. But what they're going to do is they're not going to go back and assign Poor Katana. Katana gets told, look, your forward and backward move in the air, that's going to cost 2 slots. What about Jackie's leap? Fuck it, let it cost 1. I mean,
What do you think that NRS could fix her by buffing her and making her top tier?
No, because to fix the game and put sauce on everyone's spaghetti, so to speak, they would need to go back and say, okay, first, these moves are default. Melina, guess what, Melina? You can do air psi, straight psi, low psi, air telekick by default, and we're going to give you 4 new custom moves, which Ed Boon has claimed in a previous interview. And don't call me out, goddammit, because I'll make another video and find that quote too, like I find all the other ones. They can add moves if they want, so they can just literally take Melina, give her 4 moves by default, and then which are just different versions of the moves she has now, and then put in 4 new moves to her variation. They can literally.
I think you're failing to realize how easily NRS could add sauce to some characters.
They will not.
If they were to listen to some of these character communities, if they did literally 1 or 2 of these changes, their character would be top tier. Like for example, Melina, if they made her forward 4 and overhead, would she not be top tier? Would that not make her good?
No, making movement overhead is not an answer.
But I'm saying if that's something that a character community wants, would that not?
That's lazy design.
Tom, but wait, hold on, Tom. You told me
design.
that some of these characters are unfixable.
Rio,
Tom, for the record, let's
it's
just
lazy design.
very few people I've actually studied this issue. Very few people are actually saying that. What most people want are what Tom is actually suggesting.
Melina is not where she is because she doesn't. Melina's.
Here's the thing, though. If you want to make a character top tier, I'm sorry. And I hate to be the one to say this. You give Melina air size or these whatever, she's not going to be top tier. She'll be a little bit better, but that's not going to make her on par with Fujin.
You're missing my point. My point is Melina's problem isn't that, man, she doesn't have an overhead. That's not her problem. The problem is, for starters, her default moves, different versions of her default move, make up the majority of her customs. Just different versions of her default moves, or the majority of her moveset to choose from. If they gave her, for example, those moves by default, put in 4 new moves, do you know what 4 new moves they can give in? Now she has 4 new moves, newly designed to choose from. That may not make her as good as Cetrion, but it will probably make her 100 times better than she is now and more enjoyable to play. People will have a less hard time accepting this matchup or that matchup when they have more tools to deal with them. The same thing for Scarlet. If you take Scarlet, you take Blood Ball, you make it a default move. No longer does she have to equip that, right? They can't start taking 1-slot moves and making them 2-slot to say, well, this move is 2-slot now, because that would destroy the default variation. They have to overhaul the whole game, the whole concept of how the game is built. So, to be fair, they would have to take every move, make them 1-slot and say, you only get 3 of them. Take certain moves, assign them as default. All your other moves are 1-slot, choose from them. If they have to change some of those properties to make them a little better or more fair, so be it. That's a complete overhaul. There's no way they're going to do that. Why spend time overhauling this game when they can sell us another incomplete game for $99.99?
What I don't understand is, because I feel like you're not getting what I'm saying. What I'm saying is instead of them doing all that work to overhaul the game, why can't they just give some characters that are weak, simple buffs that would make them shoot up? Like, for example, Scarlet. If they were to completely remove the gap on 443 and 124, she would skyrocket. It would be super good.
I think
that's the whole reason why I brought the Melina thing. Because if they did something like that, it would make her way better.
Let me say this. First of all, artificial balancing tools are the reason why we're having this talk right now about Sheeva. Taking the lazy way out has always been the problem. And until they stop doing that, it'll never be right. Do it right, or give us the next fucking game and stop bullshitting us.
Well, the issue with Sheeva is that they kept her legacy for whatever reason. I guess it's because they wanted to listen to people saying they need to make characters legacy. The problem is when you make an esport competitive fighting game, characters like Sheeva can't really exist because they were always known as a meme joke character with these meme moves. But when you actually balance those moves and make them viable at a high level, it causes an issue, which is what Sheeva is. What I think NRS should have done is instead of keeping her legacy, they should have redesigned her for this game so that way she wouldn't have all these joke moves from back then, but now they're actually good, so you have to deal with it.
Yeah, but then people like Tom would rage and be like, "Well, she was a stomp character and she doesn't play the same. What were they doing?"
True. You would say Sheeva's not legacy.
Yeah.
Look,
that's why I feel like we're going around in circles, though. We're just going around in circles.
Here's the thing.
Think about what exactly?
What is the thing
what they should do?
Yeah.
What do I think they should do about what the game is right now?
Like, you think they should just nerf all the top tier characters and say enjoy everyone being Shao Kahn, or what changes should they make to kind of keep the characters where they are and boost everybody up? Like, just your ideas on that.
To be honest, I think the majority of the issues in MK11 are mechanic based. Things that everybody has, such as jump ins. The fatal blow mechanic, I think, is batshit crazy. Things like flawless block up 2ing. These are the kind of mechanics I see that holds this game back in a lot of ways. Though,
Block is great, and that's one of the best mechanics of the game. Explain why it holds the game back.
I think it holds back the game because it acts as what I see as a pointless mind game when a character's minus that I don't think needs to exist. I think the only good aspect of up 2 specifically is the fact that it helps deal with another broken mechanic, which is jump-ins. The mind game of Liu Kang being minus X, Y, or Z and always having that option to be like, alright, well, sorry, I launched you for potentially 38% if I got a crushing blow, 45 if I have a fatal blow. It doesn't really feel good. It doesn't really feel good to play against. It kind of ruins a lot of the mind games. And when you hit somebody, and then when you try to jail your string after, because there's only one chance you have to jail that string, they can just, oh, sorry, I launched you for 40% if I'm Gearus. It's just not a very fun mechanic. Fatal blow is horrendous as well. I don't know why I should purposely be getting hit in a fighting game, or purposely not hitting you so that I've got a better chance to win. Just kind of seems off. I don't really get that personally.
What do you think
But,
about? What do
Hold
you
on,
think?
I got this. This is my because this I hear this all the time, David. Now, people like myself have made these claims, and I've been called, especially on this podcast, a scrub for making these claims. I've always told CrimsonShadow, I don't think when somebody's -5 and they flawless block me and up to me, and the people are like, "Oh, what a god!" In my opinion, Tigers, how did he know that I was going to do it? Because it's my
Because
goddamn
you
turn.
had to. You
Yeah.
had to.
What they do is, yes or no, Tigers. They attack, and you're like, I can't stand here and let them attack. You go to take your turn back, and they said, I knew it, and they launch you. You're like, but it's my
Yeah.
turn, right? Right?
Yeah, it's
So-
horrible. It's a horrible feeling for sure.
And
I hate
what
it.
about the wake up system?
Yeah, I was just.
Oh God! Okay, so roll
yeah.
is the worst thing ever made. I
Rio
think
never
roll
said
is the
I love
worst
this
thing
guy.
ever
I
made.
fucking love you. I love this guy. Let me just do a pop. I love you, dude. I seriously love you.
I think roll
Tigers,
is the
let me just pop off.
worst thing.
For months,
Okay.
Tigers, I hate to drop you. For months,
fine.
like this moron called Rio, Tom and I have been
goodness.
called scrubs constantly. You guys don't know how. You know what you're doing. You need to bait the right move. You need to do this. I'm watching people who are 15 times better than me, 20, 30 times better than Rio. That's for sure. Playing at a high level, playing for money, constantly getting scorched, getting destroyed, getting annihilated by the wake up system, by wake up jumps, by wake up rolls, by wake up buttons, by wake up delays, constantly. He has called Tom and me scrubs on so many occasions.
This is actually
point.
completely false. You guys were the ones that insulted me and said I was bad at the game
Anyway,
podcasts ago. I never said that.
Explain,
You want me to go back and clip it? You and Tom were the one that insulted me and said I don't even play the game.
Explain why you dislike the wake up system, and please, while you edit, explain why the breakaway system is also a complete joke. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so the wake up system. I think the wake up system is so insane in this game because it is the only game I have ever played, and I've played like every fighting game out there, literally. And it's the only one where I'm actually like, oh god, I'm scared to knock this man down. They are so much more powerful when they're on the ground. It is such an odd mechanic. I don't like that when I hit you, I have to be more afraid of you. Even on a restand, which only some characters are privileged enough to get, I still have to be afraid of flawless block up too. There is so much to deal with the wake up. Roll is insane. You can, if you, God forbid, you try and meaty, and you're like, I'll take an up 3 if they do it. I'll meaty them. Fuck it, I'm going for it. And then they roll backwards, and then I get launched for 40%. And then I'm like, alright, so basically what I do personally, and what I see most people do, is they just back the fuck. You knock somebody down, you get away from them. They are the most dangerous when they have been knocked down.
What do you?
That is when they are too powerful.
What about the people that say just always down one? That's the answer. The wake up is fine. Like Crimson Shadow. Crimson Shadow has always said the wake up system is fine. It's no different than any other fighting game.
Dude, Crimson hasn't gotten a response to Tom in the past 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Because
you
he
know
hasn't had a
what?
chance.
You know what?
Like,
At this
this
point-
is kind of
at this
insane.
point-
Dave,
our
these are all
podcast-
Crimson. These are all
At
Crimson.
this point, our podcast is becoming a joke, and I'll tell you why. Every week, every single week, people come in the comments and go, "Let people talk." Like, let talking points happen. Let people say their stuff. And you guys come in here every week and ignore that completely. And it gets to the point where you spend more time trying to put words in someone else's mouth and misrepresent their arguments
Crim,
than actually. No, don't interrupt me. You spend more time trying to put words in someone else's mouth than letting them speak. And people
And you
say
spend
this
more time
every
sounding like a
week,
goddamn
and
idiot.
you ignore
You don't-
it every
here's the
single
truth.
week.
Here's the
And
truth.
not
I'm gonna lay
only,
it out there.
not
I'm gonna
only
lay it out
am
there.
I tired
You
of
don't
it,
know
but
what the
everyone
fuck
else
you're
is
talking about.
tired of it as
You
well.
don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Tom, you're literally doing it right now. We're in the
you
middle
have
of a
never-
podcast. You're
you-
stuck in a time
no,
loop doing it
No,
again.
no. Here's how we're stuck in. We're stuck
I've been
in
trying to
this
finish a point from 45 minutes
You
ago,
you
and I
come
can't
on
finish
here.
the point
You,
because
no,
you
no, no,
can't
no, no.
close
I
your
have to.
mouth.
I have to say this. I have to say this.
You've been
I have to
talking
say this. I have to
for
say
2
this.
hours
You
of
come
podcast
on here.
already. Like literally,
You
literally. I think
Guys,
you've heard enough.
Blah, blah, blah. You come on here and act
Tom,
the role of the
I
fighting
would
game
like
expert
to be able to
here to
finish a
correct
point.
us scrubs.
Tom,
And
let him.
You've been spending more time misrepresenting
Tigers, I'm so
stuff
sorry,
I'm
man.
saying than
Yeah,
actually
fine.
letting me
and
speak.
I will tell you this.
Fine.
I will let you
Tom,
talk.
Tom,
People in the
everyone
comments.
is sick of this.
People, okay. People,
Everyone
I'm going to
is
say
tired
this
of this.
until you shut the
Close
fuck up.
your
Oh my God, Tom,
mouth,
you gotta stop. You gotta
please.
stop.
I will
You
say
gotta-
this right now.
Tom,
You guys in the comment
Tom,
section, until
you're
I
40
get,
something years
until you
old.
literally,
Let someone else speak.
I am not going to talk ever again until Crimson Shadow apologizes to me. I've
Tom,
enjoyed being on the
don't
podcast.
play-
And if
don't
this is my
play
last
victim.
talk, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done
Don't
talking.
play
I'm
victim. Don't. Just stop interrupting people and
Crimson,
let
go
them
ahead, and finish
talk.
your point. Go ahead and finish your point, please.
The point that I was trying to make 45 minutes ago is that these discussions that we can have about how to balance the game in this game are far more interesting than they would usually be because we have a lot more options to work with, both in terms of matchups and in terms of balance, right? Being able to change slots and stuff like that, being able to make use of moves that characters actually would not have were it not for the system gives us a huge opportunity. And just saying, well, the game is unfixable, let's throw it out and wait for the next one, is actually missing the giant opportunity that we have right now. Why don't we creatively try to use the preponderance of tools that we have in this game to actually make the game better in various ways? What use is it for us to spend 45 minutes on every podcast saying, this is it, it's hopeless, it's wrecked, throw the entire thing out, start over? In my opinion, not only is it a giant waste of time, but it actually does the opposite. Instead of building the community up, we end up spending half the podcast breaking it down completely. Where do we go from that? What can be gained from that? What is constructive about that? Tell me.
To be honest, I'm one of the few people that think NRS can make any character top tier if they put their mind to it. Like, for example, when have you ever seen Sheeva ridiculous in the game? This is the first time ever, right? I'm sure if they did something to Shao Kahn or Scarlet, like did a couple notches here or there, or gave them something new, they could easily be top tier. To say that these characters can never become top tier because it's too much work and it'll never happen, I don't think that's the right mentality to have.
But I think there's a second issue that people sometimes just want their character to be fun to play, and I hate to beat the dead horse again, but like Shao Kahn is the perfect example. It's just not fun to play him. That's what I hear from many of Shao Kahn.
I understand that, but that's the thing. You could make Shao Kahn so fun to play depending what you give him.
Well, I think
Like, imagine they made his 14
I do
overhead.
agree with
Imagine
that,
they
by
gave
the
him a command grab that launches. Like, imagine they gave him like these things that he doesn't have yet. How fun he could be. That's what I'm trying to make. That's the point.
Yeah, like why are we
If they
saying
made Shao Kahn
Yeah,
safe,
why are we
he would
saying
be
that
fun.
Shao Kahn is unfixable? Exactly, yeah. If they made, like, why are we saying that characters are unfixable and they can't be buffed
No,
or
I'm
they can't
not-
be top tier? Like,
I'm
this
not-
makes no sense.
I'm not suggesting that at all. I think what they will most likely do is they will do buffs and nerfs for the rest of the game's lifespan. How long it may be played for. A year, 2 years, we'll see.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, there's been characters in this game that were awful in the beginning that ended up being pretty good now. Like, for example, Kano, Kotal, are they not, like, usable characters now? They used to be awful.
True, but a lot of those changes that they did, for example, to Kano, he's good now because his best string didn't work. Like it literally didn't work. And again, we were
No, I get that, but for example, imagine they gave Shao Kahn 4-3-4, completely safe on block, no gap, like something like that. He would have a string that's almost as good as Jackie's. That would be crazy.
Yeah, like
That would be amazing.
why are we setting people down for making creative suggestions? That doesn't make sense. Or why are we saying, well, this character is either gonna suck or they're great, and there's nothing else we can do? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
let's
I
use
think
our-
NRS can
our
make any
brains.
character good. I think they really can make any character good depending on what they give them.
I
Yeah,
think
like-
I would agree that they could make any character in this game extremely fun, balanced, and good. I think they could. I just worry about the competency of the balancing team to be able to do that, honestly, because it's a matter of who do you listen to. Who do you listen to do what character needs? You don't know
Exactly.
who to
And-
listen to who. The
Yeah.
idea is here. Like I would agree that it's here. I honestly believe it is unobtainable by NOS though. I don't think that they could possibly. I don't think that they could do it. It's here though. I know it is, but I don't think that they can do it.
Tigers. Is that really like?
They also hold on. They also have to tread very carefully because, for
Very
example,
carefully.
if they make a character like RoboCop be top tier because they buff his full screen projectiles to the point where they're like insane. Right now, the other week, I was seeing Sunio playing a top 8 with RoboCop, who's considered to be bottom tier, and the whole chat was hating on him. They're like, LOL. They're calling him Zonio, no skill, no combos. All he's doing is running away. This dude's playing with a bottom tier character in top 8, but because he's playing a certain playstyle, people are hating for him.
Oh,
Imagine they made that character actually top tier and good, and everybody had to fight that. People would go nuts. That's why NRS has to be careful how you make a character top tier.
Exactly. They do have to be careful. And I'm not saying like, NOS is just really bad, which I'm not saying they're great either at balancing, but I'm not saying they're bad either because they have to be careful. If they fuck it up, well, then that's fucked until the next patch.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, is it fair to call them incompetent? Because a lot of the Q&A players that
I think,
go ahead.
I would say that calling them incompetent might be unfair to a degree. However, I think that nerfing Kodal before they nerfed Jackie I think that's really funny, and I think that is a bit incompetent. It's a bit pointless. Seems why would you ever do that kind of thing?
What nerf did
Or
you do?
nerfing Sheeva? Oh, they nerfed Kodal's health before
the
they
health.
touched Jackie.
Yeah.
It just seems really odd. Or buffing. Who was it they buffed? They buffed somebody last patch. I forget who it was. There was a notable buff in the small patch they had. But they did that before they gave, I don't know, Shao Kahn anything super usable. They gave him an extra 50 health, but that doesn't really matter. It just makes him die slower.
I feel like Shotgun should have had that from the beginning of the game.
Oh
He should
yeah,
have always had the most health.
I don't know why Kodal got it before him, but it's just the priorities and balancing is so far off is why I don't believe they can fix this game, because they're so far off base and out of touch of what's actually good or what's actually should be fixed that I don't see it ever being fixed. We're already what are we in year 2 by now? They
About to be year 2.
honestly I feel like it's only gotten worse since day 1. Aside from the
I feel like-
to play devil's advocate real quick.
Zyphox, go ahead, please.
Hold on.
There
Yeah,
have been some improvements though.
like,
A lot of them.
If I could play devil's advocate, I would like to say that it's almost impossible to really get the balance down and
I would
try.
agree. Yeah.
It's like you have to really think about, okay, the community's crying about this certain thing. They don't have all the facts. They don't have all the information that the devs can gather, and the win rates and what's really winning out there or not, because our perspective is from other players and ourselves. We might see something on social media, we might see something on streamer and YouTube, but we're only really getting a little slice of the whole overall picture. There's always going to be some type of disconnect between what the players are saying and what's actually happening behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
so with that said, I think NRS's main problem with this game is that they tried to cover the balancing and by making things like not simplified, but more in like universal, right? We had like you guys said earlier, the universal wake ups, the universal
Walls
blocking.
If it's okay for me to say one thing, I would say up 3 I think is a great mechanic. I really like up 3, but continue.
Yeah, those type of mechanics, they try to basically circumvent balancing by making things universal like that. If you don't imagine if we had to balance wake ups as well in this game, you know how in past games there are some top tier wake ups and some characters could never get up. Remember that? Like, what if Jackie could never get off the ground? Like, she just didn't have a wake up.
Yeah, that's the thing. NRS could do stuff like that. For example, I think they need to add more depth to the wake ups. So, like,
Exactly.
what if some characters' rolls recover slower? Like, for example, Shao Kahn could have the quickest roll, like 10 frame, right? But then Jackie would have like a 30 frame roll, or Setron. You know, they would have the short end of that stick,
Exactly.
and that could further make characters be different.
Because
you know?
the roles are all coded. That's the same problem. The roles are all coded the same way. They're not able. I don't think
Yeah,
they're
but
individually.
what if they found a way to like separate the coding and then
I
individually
think
give every
makes-
character?
Actually, I do know something about that. Day one, when this game was released, Devora had a different back roll. She had more
Yeah,
recovery.
I remember that exactly.
So
Yep.
there was
I
no
remember
reason
that.
why they shouldn't be able to fix that. Or
Yeah,
change
and
that.
also I had this idea on how they can fix up to launch meta. I just haven't made a video of it lately, but my idea was, and I want Tiger's opinion. What if they made it so when you do a floss block up to, there's 10 extra frames before it comes out if you floss block a grounded move or a poke, but if you do off a jump in, it's instant.
I would have to really dissect that and think about it a lot and think about how that interacts with the cast. But if that's the case, off of just what I'm hearing, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I like that. That sounds good. I
And
think it should
also
still
the
be
move would
usable on a
only
wake up
work.
and jump in, too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the move would only regain its properties off strings, so on the first hit it wouldn't count. Like there would be 10 frame delay, but if you do it in a string, it would work normally.
Or I have an idea. Instead of having universal up twos, maybe certain characters have different properties to theirs. This is just another
Like
example.
Sheeva's
of what
up
I'm trying to say.
Dave,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong here. This sounds a lot like you're mentioning an overhaul, correct?
No, this is just adding different mechanics and further
This
making characters
sounds like a
different.
pretty big overhaul to me.
Obvious.
No, an overhaul is when you completely change the game.
that
Saying
would
change
completely
Scarlet's
change the
projectile
game.
to a different speed isn't
This-
really what I
You-
consider an
You
overhaul.
mentioned letting people reply, then let me reply, please. Tom, of course it's an overhaul. Everybody knows it. It's just that it's semantics. They don't want to say it's an overhaul because it
Yeah.
hurts their ego when they agree with us.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Now let me say the reason why I get so passionate and I yelled is because Crimson Shadow is the biggest goddamn bullshitter on this podcast. He has blown me up repeatedly, Dave. When I mentioned an overhaul, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Yes or no, Dave? Right? What I'm asking for is unreasonable. And then he has the balls to say they can fix it. They can overhaul this. Why are we saying they can't fix it? We say that because when Dave and I suggest an overhaul, we are shut down week after week after week.
Wait, are we saying that adding a couple frames to roll or up to is an overhaul?
Dave, this
I
is
don't
they're
understand how that's an
overhauling the
overhaul.
entire wake-up system. They want to overhaul the flow.
No, that's not an entire overhaul. Just some characters should get this.
It's not an
I'm not
overhaul,
saying they
Dave.
need to
Dave, it's not
completely
an overhaul.
remove roles or
Maria,
replace
if you
them
make
completely with.
different characters have different up twos and up threes and whatever different roles.
But characters already have different up threes and up twos. I just want the same to be applied to roles. It's not an overhaul. I'm not saying get rid of the whole role system,
The
replace
man
it with a
does
new
not-
like.
I think Tom, I think we're arguing.
Crimson, what are we arguing about here? I'm trying to talk game mechanics. I
Well,
don't know
The
what
man
we're talking
just
about. What an
said, if you
overhaul
jump
is.
in, flawless block up 2 is 10 frames delay here. Here it comes out instant.
No,
That's
I'm
an
saying it
overhaul.
works. No, I'm saying up to floss block works normal how it is for jump ins. It's quick, but if you floss block the first hit of a string or a poke, then there's some delay to it, so
That's
you
an
can't floss block
overhaul.
launch pokes.
Well, I understand real.
Okay,
I
to be
think
fair,
it
if this is an overhaul, then the last patch they did where they made it so pokes get full combo push on block, that was an overhaul. So you already got your
Real.
overhaul that you've been
And by the
waiting
way, don't let real
Um,
bullshit you Shao Kahn players. Even if you could do forward 3-4 with no gap, you would still be fucking trash. You would still be spending the rest of
for.
your
I don't know. I think he'd be a lot better
No,
if he'd have safe
it-
4-3-4 with no
It
gap.
doesn't matter because the problem is, guess what, Shao Kahn players? Jackie can't get up. The problem is they're tired of doing sweep, down 1, down 3, down 4, blah blah blah. The problem is, it's
Guess
bland.
what? They would be only doing 4-3-4 into launchers from now on if they got that.
Dude,
bug.
no, dude. What I'm telling you is again, the game. These simple solutions are not the answer. NetherRealm has spent the entire life of the game
Tom,
choking
they
us.
literally did a simple fix to Sheeva a couple patches ago where they slightly tweaked her stomp and it made her like the most broken character in history. What are you talking
And
about?
guess what, Dave? We want it banned.
Like, what do you mean?
Dave, that's more proof that these simple
Look.
fixes are not the answer. Simple
Look.
fix. Rio tell you give Melina an overhead. Problem solved. These are not the answers. They're not.
Would you say giving her 4-4 and an overhead would be an overhaul, or is that just a move change?
That's
Again,
not the answer. That's not
Guys,
the answer.
guys,
That's not the answer. It's not
Tom,
the answer. It's not.
Tom,
not.
Tom.
Well, Tom, we've been waiting to hear what the
You
answer
guys gotta
is, but
stop.
you keep beating around
I
the bush.
gave the answer. You tell me it's not
You guys
possible.
gotta stop.
Oh.
You're arguing
Fuck it.
semantics.
No, your answer
Yeah.
was it's unfixable, and we need to wait for the next game.
Let Crimson add. I'm not. Let's not argue about words. Let's not argue about semantics. Crimson, what you were gonna say something? Please go ahead.
Okay, look, we're talking about two different things here. I think the point that I was trying to make and the point that Rio is also making is we got a lot of tools to work with in order to adjust how characters play in this game, right? We got frame data, we got slots, we got damage, we got move properties, whether moves launch or combo. We have moves we can deconflict. We have more specials than ever because we're not locked into variations like we were in MKX. So every character can use any special move they want. They're only limited by slots and conflicts, and that's it. So
And moves that should be default that aren't.
So the point is for us to talk about for 30 minutes things that are never going to happen. Like, let's get rid of regenerating meter. Let's get rid of the variation system. We already know that stuff is not going to happen. So whether you like it or hate it, it's controversial, right? Some people hate it, some people love it. It doesn't matter. If it's not going to change, then why don't we focus on using the more tools than we've ever had that we have in this game to make adjustments to make certain characters better? Like, if you have a problem with Sheeva and you got all these tools that you could possibly use, then just say, "Here, listen. Here's how we could change the stomp, but also adjust this over here to make Sheeva still be a good character, or maybe even make her a little better than she is now, but less one note." And I think those discussions are way more productive than just being like, "Well, broke, game's broke, can't fix it. That's it."
No one said that. The problem is you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You
Because
said that earlier, though.
because when somebody brings up, here is the problem. The problem is they can't redo the whole variation system, like making one slot moves two slot. That unravels the whole fabric of the original variations. They're not going to do all that. What they should do is, before they even consider nerfing and buffing anything, take the characters, say, you know what? Everything's one slot. This move should be default. This move should be default. This move should be default. And then they would have to add moves to the game to compensate moves that are selectable that are now default. And what my point is, that is the best possible solution. Doing these quick fixes, like, well, now this character has an overhead. Well, now this has this. These are quick fixes. The quick fixes is how we got here. These quick fixes are how Sheeva became the way she had. Yeah, problem solved. She'll just do the stomp, and oh, it's not working that right. We'll just speed the track. We'll give her better tracking and more active frames. Problem solved. You know, that's what they do.
Tom, to me that doesn't make sense.
Hold on.
You're saying
do characters like Setron and Joker need their moves to be one slot, like Geyser and Kapow Launcher and all that? Like, do they really need that?
Everybody, they need.
Why not just give that to some characters? If Scarlet's Blood Ball slow is 2 slots, why not make that 1 slot? Why do you have to apply to Joker and Setron who are already really good?
But again, they also need to add moves. They need to take some moves from what they are, make them default. There's no reason why some of these characters have to make a choice to do a move in the air or a move on the ground, or Jackie can leap, but Katana can't equip this move or that move because it's 2 slots. Scarlet can't equip that move because it's 2 slot. This character has a restriction here while this character has none. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the amount of work that it would take for no profit to NetherRealm is not going to happen. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying they won't do it because they have not shown, to agree with Tigers, that they are competent enough to do this right.
You're saying you can't look at a couple characters and be like, well, this move is 2 slots, but you know what? It's really not that overpowered. Like, maybe that was overkill. Let's make it 1 for this character. You're saying it either has to be exactly like it is now, or they have to redo the entire thing and make all moves 1 slot and start over from scratch. That doesn't make sense.
No, what I'm saying is they need to take a look at, like, Raiden, for example. They could take Raiden's low staff and say, you know what? It doesn't need quick charge anymore to become a launcher. It becomes a launcher. I can have the lightning without the quick charge. They could do something with Joe Push to where they change the command to where you can have Joe Push and Superman. So now make Joe Push 1 slot, and you're not sacrificing. What's killer is that it's 2 slots, and you're sacrificing the electric fly. So it's a double whammy on that move. There are things they can do like that, is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying the answer, and this is to point to Tiger, and that's why I agree with Tigers. The reason why I don't trust them is because it's not a one size fits all answer. Sure, it's easy to look at Melina and say, oh, this is simple. Give her this by default, and we'll add these 4 moves instead. But that may not be the answer for Scarlet, or for Raiden, or for Shao Kahn. It needs to be a case by case basis. And they're just not going to do that. NetherRealm has always shown, and maybe Tigers will agree or disagree, they take a broad stroke and they stroke that character with a really broad stroke. Okay, blah, 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 done. They do that. And what's the problem is they're not going to do every character like that way. We're going to have more complaining. The characters who actually get buffed properly will have the issue that I like to call upgraded versus Truth and Light Raiden. Hey guys, we're all getting third variations. These Jackie players got upgraded. The Raiden players got Truth and Light. Who do you think is and Tigers? Why in the world would the Raiden players complain? Of course they're going to complain. You give us this shit. What's going to happen is if you take the approach that Krim, that Rio are taking, sure, there are some characters that are going to be done right, and the other characters are going to stay in the shitter. And then Krim and Rio will come on here in 2025 and say the game is almost right. Give them another year, and then they're going to buff these. No, there's only so much time we have. It's still going to be the same problem. We're just transferring the problem. All we're doing is saying, now there's less players who are going to be crying because we fixed Katana and we fixed Scarlet, but unfortunately, poor are these players. Oh, Sheeva, we nerfed her into the ground, never give her any love. But fuck those Sheeva players that are going to complain. Just pick Katana. That's what they do. This is why I agree with Tigers. They're not going to do it right. I have no faith in them.
In what way does saying it's hopeless better make use of the time that we have? In
Because
my opinion,
you
it
downplay.
doesn't.
You downplay what they need to do.
Tom, I'm not downplaying, but look, people said they were never going to enable customs, and they did. They said they were never going to change the pokes. They changed the pokes. They said RoboCop will never have flamethrower and command grab because people hate zoners. They took the conflict away. So my
Dave
point
did say
is,
that on one of the episodes.
my point is, look, before we assume that nothing else is going to change, why don't people say what they'd like to change? Like, instead of just being like, oh, the wake up sucked. We're talking about players that literally spend hours a day analyzing every little bit of frame data and every single matchup, right? So they calculate buffs, they calculate nurse, everything you want, and then you're like, how would you change the wake up system? I don't know, it sucks. What's the use?
Tom, also to be fair,
I do have an opinion.
To be fair, Tom, last year Tom was saying that customs would never be a thing, and that's the only thing NRS has to do to save the game. They did that, and apparently they didn't change anything.
You said it would never be a thing.
No, I said what they. No, I was one of the first people saying that they should just allow customs. You were like, that's never.
Did they really allow it?
But then it happened.
Wait a minute. Crimson, you literally just talked 15 minutes ago. You said how you don't like people putting words in your mouth. Go ahead and call Riyadh for literally his lying right now about me and Tom saying that I never.
No, I said that. I said I think that they should do customs.
No, wait a minute.
Tom said that they would never do that.
Again, stop lying. Every time you open your mouth, most of the time in this podcast, you're lying.
Dave, remember I advocated for customs.
I'm not lying about this. I was the first person to say that they should open customs.
Well, hold on a minute. Let me just say this because
why would I be lying? Like, come on, are we being serious here? You really think I'm making this up? Do I really need to record everything I say from now on, just in case people start the lying card?
Guys, do you know why Rio has been shitting a lot lately? Because he's offended by your comments on YouTube. That's why he's shutting his fucking mouth this podcast. He's afraid to say what he actually thinks. Now he's trying to put Tom and me in a position where we so-called speak our minds, so we get in trouble.
Dave, there's no secret agenda here. You're acting really weird.
Look, here's the thing.
I have no clue what's going on right now. This vibe is really weird.
Wait, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't care any of the petty stuff. I don't care about. But if Tiger says suggestions for how you would actually change,
I want to hear it.
That's great.
I have a what I consider to be a pretty good solution to the wake up system, which is remove forward roll, so you can't end up behind somebody that's trying to media you and combo them.
I love it, Tiger. I love
forward roll, but there's more.
I love this guy.
Remove forward roll, but also make every wake up 3 safe on block for the most part. Because if you're going to have a wake up 3 and a wake up 2, please let the wake up 2 be usable for something. If you want to avoid the wake up 3, you jump. And if you think they're going to jump, use wake up 2. It seems like you get use out of the tools that are in the game instead of having your best offensive option be a forward roll.
I'm waiting
Very
for Rio.
strange.
Tigers, I'm waiting for Rio to blow you up right now. Call you a scrap. Go ahead, Rio.
And also make
Why
sure
would I
to
blow
make
up Tom a
Because
scrub?
you called
I've
Tom and me a
also-
scrub.
I've never called people who disagree with me a scrub. I'm not
Again.
sure where this notion is that I insult everybody that doesn't agree with me. I'm not that kind of
You
person.
literally criticized
I've never been
Tom.
somebody who flames people.
Right.
But
You
making
literally-
up 3 safe on flawless block.
Let
I
me
think is
Rio
a very
has come
important
to
thing.
my stream
Dave,
before.
look,
and
I
insulted me when
understand.
get
I
brought up by a
understand
forward roll.
you and Tom. Look, I understand you and Tom do not like the game. I do not hold that against you. You guys have your
I
opinion.
thought you were not gonna lie.
I'm not. I don't mind that you guys
When
hate the
was the
game. That's
last
fine.
time
That's your
you played
opinion.
the
I don't-
game? When was the last time you played the game, Rio? When?
Played it yesterday, Combat League.
Before that.
Played it 2 days ago in Combat League.
He's such a lie. He told me he played the game a month
Why is everything lying? I told you that last week. I played Zyphox 2 weeks ago.
and then stop.
That was last week.
Fair enough. You're right. I'm wrong. But can you?
Dave, your whole argument is you're lying. You're saying this, that. I never insulted you and Tom for not liking
Truly
the
hated
game.
the game. I wouldn't be
Rio.
so passionate.
As a matter of fact, you and Tom actually say I'm a shield I shouldn't be listened to because I like the game.
You are.
So it's actually the opposite of what you're trying to portray me as.
Fair enough.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you defend-
I don't insult anybody for opinions. You're quite the
defend it,
opposite.
you're-
Though.
Okay. Don't speak about whether I or Tom don't like the game. Speak for yourself. Speak your own opinion. If you love,
I have fun with the game. If I didn't like the game, I would never
know,
play it. Why would I
okay,
do that?
Let's not put words in my mouth or Tom's
Okay,
mouth.
let him
about
finish.
who you-
Forward roll is gone. Go ahead
Okay.
next time. What else?
What else?
Forward roll, I think, should be completely removed. I will say, the most positive thing I think they've done to this game is when they made it so you couldn't pick how long you delayed on the ground. That is basically one of my favorite things that they've ever done. Keep that up. Make up 3s completely safe on block, and so even on flawless block as well. And I don't think you should be able to flawless block up to them either, because there's so many OSs that you can do that kind of cancel out up 3 as an entire idea. So I don't really like the idea of being able to flawless block up to it. But giving a use for up 2, which when was the last time you've played somebody that did up 2? You don't see
Almost
up 2
never.
on wake up.
There's no
It's
point.
like you can't. You really cannot. You literally can't against Jackie because her shrapnel beats up 2s for some reason because it counts as a projectile. It's just you never see up 2. It's like what should be like almost half of the wake up system you actually can't use. So my opinion, just change forward roll being the best offensive option in the entire game, and changing up 3 to make it a bit better. That's all.
Tom, I love this guy. I love
I'll
this
even
guy.
say
Dave,
keep back
I love
roll.
this guy. I
Have my
love
back on
him.
this. Have my back on this. I have made these exact same suggestions that Tigers made. I have been called on this show by CrimsonShadow and Rio as a hater of the game, someone who refuses to this and that, who I don't understand what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. Is that not true?
I never said you don't understand what we're talking about.
May I
Ever.
ask
I
a
never
question?
insulted you
Actually-
either.
Yeah, Tiger, you may, but if I may, with all due respect, ask your question
ahead.
first, and then you
Sure,
may
go
ask
for it.
if that's okay.
Of
Do you think the breakaway system is fine as well, or would you?
That's a complicated one. I hate being full combo launched for hitting somebody sometimes.
Rio,
Why?
you said you like that. Rio
Why?
said you
Why?
like it. So be
Why?
honest.
But-
You made the wrong
but-
read. You made the wrong read. Why?
But honestly, the breakaway system has just become an unfair form of balance for some characters compared to others. And it actually creates viability where I think there initially wouldn't be as much. For Geras, if he didn't get so much unbreakable damage, he would be nowhere near as good as he is. I
Yeah, I see
think
what you're saying. Yeah, I see.
I think that breakaway almost feels like something that isn't really a traditional breakaway, like I don't even see it as a real breakaway at all. I see it as like an offensive defensive read when I launch somebody. It could really fuck them over, it could really fuck me over. It really depends on what happens. Usually you just do your anti-breakaway combo and you say have a good day if they break away, and if they don't, well, I can still play in the game.
And
I
how about
think-
this, Tigers? By the way,
I
you brought up
think-
the
go ahead.
anti-breakaway. You brought up the anti. I didn't mean to cut you off, guys. I know you're going to bitch
You're
in the
good.
comments, but I don't care. Because I wanted to stop before I got too far ahead. On the this, you know what you just said? So you just said if you break away, sure. If you don't, you don't. So what you're saying is sometimes people know they're not going to break away to a certain point of the combo, right?
Mhm.
So you say, you know what? I'll just take my down 2 or whatever. If they break away, they do. But a lot of times, more times you down 2, they don't break away. In almost every possible down 2 situation, they don't end up breaking because they know I don't have to break right now anyway, right? But you
That
don't
is
want to go.
actually a highly complex answer because the
Go ahead.
mind games are so deep on breakaway.
Mhm.
People time certain moves in tandem with how people are going to react to down two. Like for Gears, for instance, if he launches with choke and then he immediately down twos, yeah, you're like, okay, why would they break away immediately? You know, like come on. But if they don't break away immediately, then they're immediately under the pressure of like, okay, I could do one button into sand trap and you lost 54% of your health. So people have really practiced those timings and have a really good sense to deal with that. So immediate breakaway among high level will actually among a lot of the cast that have breakaways or armor breaks, sorry. They will actually break away immediately before or after. Because there is a mind game there, even if it might seem like there isn't, the breakaway will happen on
For
down
some
twos.
characters,
It
but for
will happen. For
but
not
for
all
other
characters. You are very
Yeah.
correct there. Not all characters,
for other characters,
just some.
you get your down 2 and you may get your 20%, which Rio has said take your 20%. But isn't the problem where it works out good in that situation, that mind game? For other characters, the breakaway is there even if they don't break away. They lose 20% instead of 40 and they get away scot-free and they still have their defense. The threat of the breakaway forces you to down 2 because if you go into your combo path, then you go a mind game of, do I do my combo path and take no damage and they don't break away, but then I have to guess them up again on wake up and they keep their bar and they use the wake up system on me? Or do I do my combo and they do break away and I get comboed, so I'll just down 2? But these people, they say, I don't give a fuck, I'm not going to break away until I see this. So you down 2, you take the 20%, but they keep their bar, they get up for free. So they basically broke away without breaking away. So isn't it both worlds where you have that complex mind game?
there is both on both ends for sure, and I would say it's bad. It's bad because of the characters, not because of the game. Not because it's bad by design. It's bad by the characters that don't even play by it. Like Jackie, who gets 44% unbreakable, compared to Melina, who gets nothing, and then she's minus. It's just incredibly unbalanced, but not because I think it's broken by design, because I think it's broken in practice.
Now, why is it, do you think, by the way, I don't mean to cut you off, Kamai, I'm sorry. I just have one more question. Why is it, do you think, that almost everybody has the exact same suggestions as you have right now? Yet so many people are dismissed as morons who know nothing about the game, who refuse to adjust, and then other players are like, oh yeah, I guess that could be what it is. Because I promise you, if Dave or I said what you're saying right now, and we would be dismissed as idiots on this podcast, and we have before.
This does somewhat lead to my question. Leo, what is your opinion about the changes to the wake up system and breakaway? What are your opinion to my suggested changes?
Well,
I personally wouldn't remove options from the game. I think what they should do is put more options in the game. Maybe add a button that completely counters the wake up system, so you don't have to make a read, I guess.
I will
in terms of removing,
go ahead, Sai. That's fair. Sai.
In terms of removing options from the game, which people complain that there's no depth, it's super limited, it's super boring, I don't think that would be the way to go.
That's fair, and I do get what you mean, but I would say that if there was a way to add options that caused it to be just as fair, I would be up for that too. I'd be equally up for it, if not
and that's
potentially more.
how I've always been. That's why, since
I think that is somewhat in a fantasy land where they could add something like that, and not have it be in some way highly abusable and make the game, if not, maybe a little bit better, there's a high chance it'll make it a lot worse. And then, even if they did, I am 100% sure that just, say, removing forward roll would make the game a lot better right now, as opposed to hoping something else would work. But, that being said, I would also prefer that, but I also see that as like almost an impossibility as well. Would love it though. I do agree there. That would be great.
How about
too.
breakaway? Rio, what do you feel about his breakaway? Because Rio, you've been adamant, and Dave knows this.
well, I personally don't have an issue with breakaway because I do combos different. But I guess if I was playing Sub-Zero, then maybe they would have to buff Sub-Zero in a way to compensate for that. So I understand your point.
No one said Sub-Zero.
No, I'm just mentioning, like, if you play a certain character that doesn't have answers like that, I guess centers could address those characters.
My point is,
better.
you have said that you like the idea that you can break away and get a combo. You think that's a good mechanic in the game.
I love when my opponent does a horrible combo and they choose to go with something greedy, and if I break away, I combo them. To me, they're making a mistake.
Tiger,
Well-
why are high-level players who are playing for money doing horrible combos and losing money?
I don't know how to answer that.
No, I'm just asking a question.
If
Marvel
you're
people-
asking why people get greedy, right?
I guess that would be another.
If you're asking,
Well,
my
Dave is
perspective
asking-
on
aren't
that
they,
part.
why
Dave-
aren't they?
I think
Why
I
aren't
think
they
Dave
always doing
I
X, Y,
think
or
Dave
Z?
is alluding. Yeah, I think Dave is alluding to why can't some characters do anything after a breakaway? Otherwise, they're gonna get comboed. Like they have no option.
Yeah, it's well. At the end of the day, that's just a mind game, and my issue with it is that it's a mind game on somebody's breakaway, which is honestly kind of offensive to me. I don't really, in particular, like a mind game on somebody's breakaway. But at the same time, that's why I don't play the mind game. And from what I can tell, Rio doesn't seem to play the mind game either.
Yeah, I don't. I just take my
you
guaranteed damage and don't deal with
play
it.
the mind game. You just don't play the mind game. So you
Yeah, but-
you just actively accept that your combos deal less damage unless they don't have defensive meters.
Yeah, exactly. So because I do the mind game, and then my opponent doesn't want to, show me the same favor, they have to suffer because of that. But
Yeah.
what NRS could do, I guess, is they could give characters that don't have good breakaways, so that way they could counter breakaway.
Well,
No,
It's
let
that
Crim
well.
go. Let Crim get in
Let Crimson respond, please. Thank you.
no, I just wanted to say before we get too far ahead on this, Tigers, if it was in your hands and you could make an adjustment to breakaway, what adjustments would you make, either character wise or to the system in general?
Well. Again, my issue with breakaway isn't necessarily that it by design is broken. It's the characters that either don't play by it or get completely destroyed by it. But if I was going to change breakaway, I think honestly a regular breaker system would help this game more. I think that would immediately fix a lot of the problems. Not to say this one is, garbage by design. It just seems incredibly hard to actually use because Jackie again gets 44% if you break away from a combo at the soonest possible moment for some reason. And that really doesn't sit right with, I think, anybody at all. And if they read a breakaway with Fatal Blow, they get an 80% combo off of some situations for some reason, which is kind of odd. But I would just give a regular breakaway. Regular breakaway. Fuck it. We don't need. Yeah, it's new. It's cool. It's
breaker.
shiny. But
Breaker.
yeah, just a regular breaker. Yes, you just give us a regular breaker. I would
What do
prefer
you
it.
say
I know
about
the
this?
new one's shiny and cool. What's up?
What do you say about this? And is this true? Because we have been told just do your breakaway combo. Isn't it true that there are some characters like Jackie who could go through their full maximum combo path, and even if you break away, it doesn't matter, right? Because she recovers so fast. So
It doesn't
a
matter.
character like Jackie, even if she could hit you and launch you, to break away is dumb because she does the exact same damage whether she does her full ground combo or you break away,
Yep.
correct?
If you
So-
break away and they down two, it actually does more damage.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Then her ground. So basically, there are some characters who go through their regular combo path. So listen to this. There is a character in which there are multiple characters that do this. They go through their regular combo path. They hit you grounded, they get 40. If they happen to launch you, even if you break away, it doesn't matter. So they always get guaranteed damage, airborne or not. They don't even play by that mind game. They don't know what that mind game is. Then there are other characters that have their safe breakaway combos and this and that. Then there are other characters which they have to down to you because if they start playing that combo path,
There's a
game,
way to fix this though.
go ahead.
There's a way to easily fix Jackie's issue.
Well, it's not Jackie. It's
Just
an
make
issue
it-
of course, multiple characters.
No, but I'm saying it because you're mentioning
Yeah.
Jackie, so I want to address her. Or unless you want to mention a different character.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one way that they could fix not being able to break away from Jackie is, why don't they make it so when you combo into her shrapnel, it bounces you off the ground, so it makes you airborne. So that way she'd still have her same combos, but it'd give you a chance
Doesn't
to break
matter.
away.
Even if she does the forward 2-2 and you break out of it, she recovers too fast. You get nothing.
No, I understand that, but instead of taking 45% unbreakable, you would at least be able to break out after the initial hit.
No, you don't understand. She puts you in.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, if she does 4-1-2 enhanced shrapnel, jump in 4-1-2 enhanced shrapnel, finisher, you can't do anything, right? Guaranteed 45. What I'm saying is, the enhanced shrapnel on the ground, if you do it in a combo string, it bounces them off the ground.
No.
So she gets the same combo follow-ups, but you're able to
No,
break
you
away now.
misunderstand what I'm saying. Jackie, right now, breakaway acts as her combo path, and others like her. It acts like a breaker. So, like in Mortal Kombat, like you know how it works. You just go through your regular combo path, and they have to break her. Otherwise, they're good. If they don't break her, they eat the whole damage, right? They just have to break her. With Jackie, the problem is she's like, oh, even if she launched you with an airborne shrapnel, which bounced you off the ground, and she goes with her normal combo path, forward 2-2, forward 2-2, forward 2-2, and you say, at least you can break away. The problem is, even if you break away, it's going to do a ton of damage, and you get nothing for it, unlike other characters. So the problem is,
No, but wouldn't that reduce the damage though? Like for example, if she did
It
forward
barely-
1-2 and that
barely.
shrapnel launch, and then you break away after
Barely.
that, wouldn't you be losing a good chunk?
barely.
You
It would do
would
almost the
do-
exact same damage.
You would
So
still
you wouldn't be losing over half.
Well, it depends on how you want to balance the shrapnel bounce to begin with. Because it sounds like this combo would just deal a lot less damage in general, just because
It would
of the
would deal
way-
slightly less, but
If
you would
you're
be able
saying
to
it would
break away.
deal slightly less, and they're just giving it, oh god, that would be a fuck ton. Still, actually, that would
Yeah.
still be at least 38%.
No, but think about it. Okay, so for example, you do forward 1-2 or 4-3-1, right? Whatever. Then you go into leap, right? Then you do EX shrapnel. They bounce
Yeah.
off the ground. Then they instantly
If-
break away.
Okay,
How much damage would you get off that sequence?
I would have to know.
Would you still get 45?
So this is kind of like, this is actually an incredibly difficult thing to answer because I'm not sure how you're scaling and how much damage the shrapnel is doing now. And since they're immediately being launched, they wouldn't even be able to do the regular combo. So it's kind of, there's a lot to unpack there.
But
Well, the combo would probably be this.
I need to ask this. Okay, it's a very easy way to ask this. How much damage does it do up until forward 1-2 into shrapnel? How much damage are you on the table right now? How much damage is on the table?
Forward 1-2
right there?
shrapnel would be probably like 15-ish.
15-ish? Well, there's no way they're reaching the previous damage or even close to. But if that's the case, that's just a huge damage nerf in general.
Tigers, hold
and then
on,
if
hold on.
you... Go ahead.
This is what I mean by quick fixes. How about all those times, Tigers, where she barely clips you with shrapnel airborne and she doesn't get a combo because you're air to air? Now she would bounce you off the ground.
Oh,
No. Here's the
fuck,
thing,
that
though.
would suck, huh?
No. Here's the thing. Tom doesn't understand. I said specifically it would bounce you off the ground if you
If
do
you're
it off
standing?
a grounded string into the launcher, not
Gotcha.
if you get hit in the
This
air
sounds
or
a lot
wall.
like an overhaul, which I was told is not an option.
Then...
Tom,
Piggyback
look.
me.
I'm not here to debate about words. I'm here to talk about
no need
ideas to
debate
fix the
about
game.
words. Yeah.
I'm talking about ideas
I
to
agree.
fix the game.
This would...
So, are you saying
change
Jackie's
a lot of
damage would be
combos, shit.
unfixable? It would be unfixable.
Well, I'm also just fine with nerfing her damage a fuck ton. She does way too much
Because
damage.
I'd rather talk about ideas to fix Jackie than every single episode talk about why Jackie's so broken and they can't do anything about it. You know.
By the way, it's all the
Like-
character.
And also, in terms of
Honest-
Breakaway, there is one change I've always
fix
wanted for
Jackie?
Breakaway
Why
since
change
day one.
Jackie why change every character individually 10 ways when you can just change the
There's
breakaway?
been one Breakaway change I've wanted since day one of this game. I just don't talk about it
What would
ever
that be?
because I don't like repeating myself every week about the same shit. I wanted since day one of this game Breakaway to be down in foot stance, and it still hasn't happened. But that's my main change for Breakaway.
So let me ask you this. So your suggestion is, rather than changing breakaway itself and the properties of it, individually adjust the game character by character to deal with breakaway differently?
Yes, because that would make characters play differently.
We're back to 100 different moves for the
Interesting
variations.
But don't you want characters to have different ways to deal with mechanics instead of making the mechanic work the same way for everybody?
I'm actually of the opinion, in a lot of ways I would agree with you on that, but I see Breakaway as something that I don't need as a extra complex mechanic. I don't need that in my fighting
Like
game.
I don't want Noob Saibot to stop Breakaway the same way Aaron Black does. I want them both to play differently in different aspects of the game.
I get what you mean. I do get it, but also, like, I'm just fine with having a normal Breakaway. Because when I play, and, Breakaway is a thing, it's either I'm playing against Jackie and I wonder why the Breakaway is the way that it is, or I'm playing as fucking, I don't know, playing as Scarlet and I wonder, dear God, why is Breakaway this way? And there's no situation where I'm like, hell yeah, man, this Breakaway is sick. It's always like, God, I don't want to notice Breakaway when I play. For me, they tried it, I notice Breakaway, but whenever I notice Breakaway, I'm like, oh God, I fucking hate this. Oh, fuck that. Oh, I just got cheated. Oh, God damn it. Or I'll just be like, haha, I cheated that guy. I don't feel good about it. That's just a funny game mechanic I used to screw that guy over.
Yeah.
It's just never like, oh man, great, awesome.
Yeah.
It's never a good feeling.
Well, let me.
It's either like, wow, I cheated them, or wow, I got cheated.
Let me. If you guys don't mind, we're almost 2 hours in. I would like to give Tiger's the last word. But before Tiger,
Oh.
actually the last question rather, and you know it's coming. But before that, we have to pay our respects. I'm gonna give Tom the floor to talk about one of his um
Yeah.
one of his main training partners. Please give a shout out to the individual in question, Tom Brady.
Yeah. Listen, I do apologize for being on the edge today, but it was a really rough day today. One of my closest friends ever in the world, Mick, Soul Calibur legend. This man was so legendary that him and RTD did a grand finals at Evo, and they were so lame. It made Evo so mad they cut the grand finals off of the DVD. You cannot be more godly and more legendary than that man. He was an inspiration to me. He was a leader to me. And one thing that I've learned from all this, and I did a terrible job of it tonight, but sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the most petty things. Take your friends for granted or get mad at this guy or say things when you're mad. And the reason why we get caught up in our petty things, we always think we have more time. We always think we have more time. If it's one thing the last year plus has taught us is sometimes we don't. It's never too late until it actually is. And it's something I need to work on because of this. And I do apologize tonight for my outbursts. My apologies to everyone. It's a really rough day, but yeah, I appreciate the floor. God bless Mick. God bless his family. Rest in peace, Mick. You will be missed.
Thank you, Tom.
Sorry to hear that.
Tiger, last question. Please answer it any way, shape, or form that you see fit. You know this is coming. Why did
I have one more question for Tiger after this one.
dude? No, this is the last one.
Sorry. No, I just want to ask him one. I want to ask him a fun
No,
question.
you will not. This is the last question. Then we're gonna wrap it up. Tiger, why did NRS do this?
I don't know, man. The mod team that banned me, they got some lowercase p's, man. That's all I gotta say.
That is hilarious. Well,
All right, Tigers. I have a quick question for you. I want your honest opinion.
Okay.
If we were stuck with MKX or MKLM for the next 2 years, which would you prefer? The whole community played.
Oh God. Next podcast. I don't know. Fucking. I would
Well, do
say
you have a
MK11.
preference between the
I
games?
would say MK11.
Really? You prefer
I
MK11
would.
over MKX?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
Wow, I was not
Honestly.
expecting that answer.
By a mile, I do, honestly.
all right. Well, with that said, I want to give a huge, humongous, massive thanks to Tigers for joining us. Please follow him at Titaniumtigerzz, ZZ at the end of Tigers. You will find his Twitter account. Amazing player, amazing comments, amazing podcast. Please comment. I want to also thank my co-hosts Crimson, Rio, Tom Brady, and also Zyphox, who had to leave about half an hour ago. Again, thank you so much, Tigers, for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. Guys, leave the comments. Let us know what you think as usual. And we will see you on the next episode of the podcast.